All right. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. Okay. Hey, everybody. All right. Hey, everybody. JR here, back again with another uh, another part to Life is Strange Steph's story here. Uh, we will be finishing up this today. So we will see how this all. Well, if you played if you played True Colors or the Wavelengths DLC, also you most likely have an idea might as well. You most likely have an idea of this this is going to pretty much end up. Yeah. Hey, hey, how's it going? Uh, so without also a little recap from last episode. Uh, we had the Battle of the Bands show during the last episode. Uh, Steph and Izzy did not win the competition, unfortunately, but most importantly, the Izzy's former band, the Asshole Crew, not their actual name. I'm just gonna call them the Asshole Crew, because that's pretty much what they are. Uh, uh, did not win the competition. Instead, Steph's friends, the High Seas, their their band that Pixie's a part of, which is a friend, which is one of Steph's close friends. Her band won, so at least somebody good and deserving won the Battle of the Bands thing. But in hindsight, in the aftermath of losing at Battle of the Bands, even though Izzy kind of took it a little hard, well, harder than Steph did. Um, it did give, like I said in the last episode, that it would give them exposure and some notoriety anyway. That turned out to be the case because even though they didn't win, it put their name out there, and they got some positive feedback and some notoriety, and was able to get more bookings for little gigs and shows and things like that, which led to some fans that would follow them, and with one fan in particular being good old Gabe Chen, um, Alex's brother from True Colors, wanting Steph and Izzy to perform in Haven. So, and now we and Steph not really agree, kind of being like, okay, we'll see if we show over there and do it after a little bit of back and forth convincing from Gabe, because Gabe is really persistent, as we would come to find out in True Colors itself anyway, that he can be pretty persistent when he sets his mind to doing something. So Steph said she would run it by Izzy first, but she also said to herself that she already herself has already committed to doing it anyway. So now we are on let's see, chapter 25 here. So we have about 2.5 hours left, roughly. So that will fly by pretty quickly. So we'll be able to finish this. So we'll be picking up with the beginning of them going to Haven Springs. So we're getting ever so much closer to where True Colors and everything would leave Steph, especially especially if you count like all the little flashback moments you had and what Wavelengths showed, the Wavelengths DLC for Steph showed. So we're inching our way closer to that. So without further ado, let's let Katie Benz, aka Steph, take it away here.
25. 2017 comes to an end. Not with a bang, but with a frenzy of last-minute planning. Our tour is a little over a month away, and there's so much more to do than I expected. It's a good thing, really. It keeps me too occupied to focus on the weather. I try vitamin D and the lamp thing, and I get on a waiting list for a therapist. But none of that helps me nearly as much as having the tour to look forward to. Izzy and I finish setting up the van, and after a couple of tries, figure out how to fit everything without blocking visibility. There's a decent chance of decapitation by symbol if we crash, but that's just a risk we'll have to take. I design flyers and t-shirts we can sell at each gig with a giant pair of red and white painted lips and our band name in big letters against a black background. They end up looking pretty rad. I set aside a couple for Dad and Renee. They continue to be our least likely but somehow biggest supporters. I glance down at the box of neatly folded t-shirts, thinking about all the fans we'll meet who will go home with a sweet new shirt and some memories. But all those strangers wearing our merch and loving our songs pales in comparison to the image that lights behind my eyes. Jordy, Ollie, Leah, all standing in the front row, hands raised toward the stage, rocking out along with us. I wonder if they'll even come to our kickoff gig on February 13th. Then I decide to stop wondering. I rifle through the t-shirts and grab a medium for Jordy and an extra large for Ollie. It's not exactly an olive branch, but it's what I've got. It doesn't take long to get to Jordy's apartment, which is a pity because I could use more time to sort through what I'm going to say. I pause outside before deciding to do another lap around the block and really get my thoughts in order. So I turn around and wham, smack directly into the one and only Jordy Abdullah. Okay, well, ow, he says, rubbing his shoulder where it hit my jaw. Steph? Hey, hi. I clutch the shirts to my chest and avert my eyes. Fancy seeing you here. This is my apartment, Steph. So it is. Jordy furrows his brow and eyes me with a searching gaze. Did you want to come up, or just passing by? I nod. Yeah, if you'll have me. You weirdo. Jordy slings an arm around my shoulder and drags me toward the door. After we climb the 3 flights of stairs to his apartment, he takes off his shoes and makes for the kitchen, leaving me alone in the living room. I've been here what feels like 100 times, and it wasn't that long ago that it felt like a second home. Now I feel like a trespasser, like I don't really deserve to feel comfortable in a space that isn't mine. So what's up, Steph? Jordy plops a bowl of chips between us, barbecue, his favorite flavor, and settles down on the floor. He has a perfectly good couch, but Jordy's always been a floor sitter. Maybe it's because he's usually hosting a handful of people and all the couch spots are taken up, so it's become a habit. But I think he just likes to stretch out his legs. I owe you a massive apology, I say in a rush as I join him on the throw rug. Jordy shrugs. I don't know about massive, but go on. I totally ghosted on our friendship, and I don't really have a good reason. I wasn't even busy, just sad and a little fucked up. As far as apologies go, this isn't one for the books, and I know it. I should have told you what was going on and trusted our friendship. I really care about you, and I know you care. Well, at least you did care about me. And I should have just been honest, I guess. Okay, well, first of all, you're not, obliged to tell me stuff. You know that, right? Like, our friendship doesn't hinge on your willingness to tell me every little thing about your life. He takes a chip and turns it over in his hand, spreading barbecue dust across his fingers. But you can tell me stuff. If something's going on with you, I want to know. But not in a weird, pressury way. So you're not mad at me? I mean, I'm not mad. It sucks that you bailed. He leans back and tips his head against the sofa cushion. It felt like you ditched me for your girlfriend, basically. I want to argue with him, tell him that's not how it is. Izzy's not just my girlfriend. She's also my bandmate and my roommate and, well, that's exactly how it is, I guess. Sometimes it feels like, as an ace person, I'm like a waypoint for my friends. A rest stop to hang out in until they find their person. It's like I'm a bench warmer until you find someone better. I know that's not how you meant it to feel, but that's just how it goes for me. All through college, I was just that friend people had until they found a partner. And then I'd get left behind. Oh man, that sucks, and you're right. That's not how I meant to make you feel. But that doesn't really fix it. Jordy shrugs. You're one of my best friends, Steph, and I like having you in my life. Just because you have Izzy and I have Ollie doesn't mean we aren't still us, you know? Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've got other friends, but you're one of a kind. Wholesome. I nudge his arm with mine. He turns, and the smile on his face looks genuine. I guess I'm not really mad. I'm more just kind of hurt. Like, maybe you stop wanting me around. My chest tightens, and I bring my knees up closer to my body so I can rest my chin in the divot between them. More like the opposite. How so? I knew I'd have to say it eventually, but I just thought when I did it would feel scarier. And maybe it's because it's Jordy, not Izzy, who's asking. Yeah, he's known me for years, but for some reason it just feels like less pressure. Probably because I don't live with him. He's removed from the situation in a way that Izzy can't be. Have you heard of seasonal affective disorder? SAD? Yeah, my cousin Jamal has that. He moved to California as soon as he turned 18 so he wouldn't have to deal with it. And suddenly, I feel so much lighter. There's a person like me, a person with a name, a person Jordy knows. Okay, yeah, so I get in a funk every fall, and whether or not it's true, I start to feel like I'm a bummer to be around. Sometimes I push through it, and sometimes, well, you get the idea. Oof, okay. Yeah. I still don't really know what to do about it, or how much of it is actually sad, and how much of it is just... I trail off, unable to give voice to all my baggage. It still feels so heavy, so overwhelming to unpack. I get it. Jordy lets his knee knock against mine. Whatever it is, you know you're never a bummer to me, right? Even when I'm grumpy, even when you're grumpy. Even if I suck at talking about my feelings, even then. Even if I eat this whole bowl of chips and don't leave you any. Jordy gasps, diabolical. I stretch my legs beneath the coffee table and pick up the t-shirt sitting beside me. I don't know if you and Ollie are available, but Izzy and I are kicking off our tour with the Seattle show. It would be neat if you could come. Oh my God, Steph, did you design these? He holds one up against his chest and makes a blue steel model face. How do I look? Like you've got chip on your face. He wipes his mouth, getting even more chip dust on his chin, and says, "Want to hang out for a while? Critical Role started their new campaign last week, and this one's got lesbians." Say no more. I'm in. Jordy grabs his laptop. I settle in beside him for an afternoon of adventure, and finally, my smile feels like it fits. There's one more apology I need to make. So on my way home, I dip into a grocery store and grab a bouquet of pink and yellow flowers and a bottle of wine. Izzy spent her birthday with her parents, so we didn't really do anything. I don't think she expected much, since we've been spending almost every waking hour prepping for the tour, but that will hopefully make this an extra surprise. When I get home, the sun is already set, and Izzy's curled up on the couch with a copy of Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, propped open on her chest. Her eyes are closed, and the lightest of snores blows her bangs up and out every few seconds. As I stand in the doorway, I'm struck by how very Izzy this picture is. It almost breaks my heart to ruin it. Hey, Iz. I sink onto the couch and sweep her feet up into my lap. She doesn't wake up immediately, just nuzzles deeper into the couch cushions. So I climb up next to her and brush the flowers beneath her nose. She lets out a little contented sigh, and it's so cute. I just want to stay in this moment right here for as long as we can, before I can fuck it up with feelings. Unfortunately, I don't have dominion over time, and Izzy's eyes flutter open. Hey,
you inadvertently know somebody. You inadvertently, technically, a friend of yours, a certain blue-haired girl. As far as this story goes, has a girlfriend that you just met who actually does kind of have control over time, technically. You know, if you knew that, maybe you could have. Well, you technically have Chloe's number. You said so previously in a previous chapter that you do have Chloe's number. So I don't know if you need somebody to manipulate time. Maybe you can maybe give Chloe a call so she could tell Max that somebody needs help with something. You know, as long as you potentially don't mind maybe having a storm show up or something again. You never know.
hey, she says groggily, covering her mouth as she yawns. Guess I took a nap. You deserve it. I put the flowers down on the coffee table and turn to face her. You deserve a lot of things. She shifts up to a sitting position and fixes me with a strange look. Her eyes are shadowed, like a wall is going up behind her gaze. Like an apology? I say it quietly, my inflection going up at the end like it's a question. And maybe it is. I wonder if Izzy even wants an apology, or if the tension is all that's keeping our relationship standing. If you're okay with that, I mean, I know things have been off lately, and I want this tour to be fun. I want us to have fun again. Izzy lets out a long exhale, her entire body seeming to melt with it. Oh my God, Steph. I thought for a second you were like breaking up with me or something. Breaking up with you?
Aha!
I recoil at the thought. What? Why would I hold up my peace offering? What kind of person would dump someone with flowers and wine?
Someone who was trying to break up in a very easy way to try to smooth things out before laying down that news. But it's just funny that before she thought Izzy was gonna break up with her before, and then now the shoes is on the other foot that Izzy thinks Steph was gonna break up with her. So kind of funny how the roles reversed on the situation there.
You are exactly the kind of person who would do that. Like, here's some emotional devastation, but you can get drunk on $2 Chuck afterward. Excuse me, this bottle cost me $9 whole. Okay, so not exactly bottom shelf. She swings her feet down to the floor and pads over to the kitchen to retrieve the bottle opener and a couple of glasses. This tour is going to be fun, Steph. I swallow, staring down at my hands and wishing I was the one who'd gotten up for the glasses. If only so I'd have something to do other than sit here. How do you know? How do I know? Izzy reappears in the archway between living room and kitchen and surveys me from across the room. Because it's our tour. Because we've been working towards this for months, and honestly, if it's not fun, then I significantly fucked up. Right, I mutter. Of course. She crosses over to the couch and sets the glasses down with a clink. I just think this is an opportunity for us to really reset. I know that the coast trip was a bad idea, but I do think a change of pace will help us get out of the rut we're in. New towns, new people, kind of refresh our passion. Also, you'll be there with me. And no matter what, everything is always better with you. My insides do a somersault, and I'm overwhelmed by the need to hold her in my arms right this second. So I launch myself across the couch and throw myself around her. Steph! She shrieks my name as I bury my nose in her hair. I breathe her in, lips finding the apex of her jaw and throat. She smells like apples and vanilla. I make my way across her collarbone toward her sternum, pressing a kiss to her skin for each tour stop on our trip. Seattle, Salem, Sacramento, I say, and she tips her head back in a laugh. Reno, Salt Lake, Havens.
Oh my lord. Oh boy. Okay, we're back here. Oh, whoops. That was not what I wanted to click on. There we go. There we are.
Springs, Denver, Omaha, then back home. I circle up and rest my lips against hers. A slow, lazy kiss. But Izzy pulls back, turning her face so my nose bumps against her cheek. What was that? She asks. What, is my breath bad or something? I breathe into my palm and try to sniff. I ate a ton of barbecue chips at Jordy's. No, your breath is fine. Although, yeah, barbecue-y. I mean, what was that extra city? Haven something? I sit back on my heels. Haven Springs? Yeah, that's not in the lineup. I thought we were going straight from Salt Lake to Denver. Oh, yeah, I was thinking of adding it, I say, averting my eyes. We've got a pretty dedicated fan base there, actually. And since we have like almost 2 weeks between Salt Lake and Denver, I figured it wouldn't hurt to slot in another show. Huh. I guess that makes sense. Izzy pulls her hair back and away from her face, then lets it all drop again. Fluffy and soft. Wish you'd told me about it. Sorry, I thought I had. The lie slips from my lips as easily as a kiss. It's just, I think we should stick to the big cities. You know, the places that will really draw a crowd? I shrug, still keeping my eyes glued to the floor. Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't have it in me to fight this fight. I know Izzy's in this for the exposure, for the prestige, for the industry people we'll meet along the way. And me? I'm in it for Izzy. But I thought maybe I could have this one little thing that was just for me. This one guy, Gabe, who likes his town so much he practically begged us to go there so they can experience our music. It feels like a weird thing me and Chloe might have done when we were kids back in Arcadia Bay. The kind of thing that would have meant a lot to us. It's probably too late to cancel, I say, hoping she won't call my bluff. I haven't even confirmed the gig yet. Well, maybe it'll be fun anyway. We can try out some of our more experimental stuff on them. Maybe I'll even write a new song while we're on tour. Yeah? I ask, hope a bubble in my throat. It's been months since Izzy's written anything new, and it occurs to me that maybe my moods are impacting her, too. That maybe the trip to the coast wasn't really about cheering me up, but cheering her up. Guilt piles up in my stomach, hot and angry. But before I can do anything with it, Izzy leans into me, fingers curling around the fabric of my flannel as she tugs me closer. I come crashing down toward her, and as she rolls me over to flip our positions, my foot snags on the coffee table, sending it and everything on it toppling to the ground. Ah! Izzy lunges forward, but it's too late. The sound of glass breaking wrecks the moment as the wine glasses shatter against the ground. Fuck! I sit up, snaking my arm around Izzy's waist. Oops. Guess we'll have to drink our wine out of mugs. Or straight from the bottle. Steph! She nudges me, but her smile is wide and bright. It's a welcome sight. Between the two of us, there hasn't been much in the way of smiling lately, and I can't help but lean forward to kiss it. When Izzy pulls back, she slowly traces the outline of my face, tucking a few strands of hair behind my ear. Hey, I love you, she says. And when I say it back, the words are honest in a way that wrecks me just a little. Because I'm beginning to worry that maybe love just isn't enough. 26. In the hours before our Seattle kickoff gig, I finally drag my suitcase out from storage. It's dusty and full of stuff I barely recognize. A box of mismatched dice, a t-shirt with a zombie on the front and the phrase, "When it rains, it pours," and a loose-knit blue beanie. You almost ready? Izzy calls out to me in the garage. Yeah, give me a minute. Need help? Nah, I got it. I frantically pull pants and jackets from the dresser to haphazardly shove into the purple suitcase. Okay, just hurry up. I want to get the van packed. I hear the click of the garage door and exhale into the wall. It took Izzy hours to decide which outfits to bring on tour. She showed me every combination, trying to narrow things down to the best possible looks for the stage. And I loved every second of her twirling around the living room, her energy shifting slightly depending on how comfortable she was in the clothes. Everything about this process has been meticulous for her, from our set list to our driving schedule to her wardrobe. Come on! Izzy grabs my suitcase for me before it's zipped all the way closed and throws it in the back of the van along with hers. Phew, that's it. That's it. I echo. It's weird. I thought I would feel more energized and nervous, but I just feel normal. Like this is any other day and not the start of something great. Izzy bumps my shoulder with hers. We're doing the thing, Steph. We're doing the thing. Her smile is infectious, bright and blistering. I can't help but smile back. Yeah, we are. She squeezes my hand and takes the driver's side. As we pull away from the house that we share, I can't help but hope we're not just leaving the bed and the couch and the kitchen table behind, but also the energy that's plagued us for the past few months. I've never been a superstitious type, but I hold my breath over every bridge and through every tunnel. It feels like the kind of day where a little extra luck would go a long way. Tonight sets the tone for the next month, and I really need for it to go well. When we pull up to the dotted quarter, I take a deep breath and exhale all the tension I'm holding. There's no point in carrying it with me. I jump down from the van and march around the back to where Izzy's unloading our instruments. I snake my arms around her waist and lean in from behind to kiss her cheek. Want to get a photo with our poster? I ask, pointing at the front doors where a drugstore makeup flyer is proudly posted in the window. Izzy glances down at her clothes, a baggy sweatshirt and plaid pajama pants. Maybe after we get ready? Aw, come on. I grab her hand between both of mine and pull her forward. Steph, it'll look so much better on social media if we do it later. She gestures to her clean face. Plus, isn't it weird we're called drugstore makeup, not makeup remover? Okay, putting aside that makeup remover would be a terrible band name, who says this has to be for social media? I take out my phone and set it up on the hood of the van so it's balancing. This is just for us. Okay. Izzy ambles over to the front door and poses, fingers pointing up at the sign and a look of excited awe on her face. I set the timer and join her, trying to let the moment really sink in. We're going on tour, me and Izzy. People are going to hear our songs, maybe even connect to them in really powerful ways. And really, is there anything better than playing for people who love your music? The light blinks and Izzy breaks her pose, striding back over to the van. Come help me with the drums, she calls over her shoulder.
Funny part is that is backstory to the picture that I have. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. Posted right below me here. So that is the exact picture that they're describing. Is that one right there, right below me. So pretty funny that they worked in that that one little photo from I believe that's the Wavelength DLC where that photo is from. So it's kind of funny that the book worked in a little bit of backstory to the meaning of behind what went into taking that photo. So that's kind of cool.
Sure. I cross over to the van and snatch at my phone. The photo is clear and crisp. Izzy and I stand before the poster, smiling and pointing at this accomplishment between us. It's a happy moment. It should look like one, too. But Izzy's smile is forced, her posture uncomfortable, her eyes not quite meeting the lens of the camera. If I didn't know better, I'd wonder if we were strangers. By showtime, the dotted quarter is packed to the brim. Everyone we know is there, it seems. My chest unclenches painfully when Jordy and Ollie walk through the doors an hour early, wearing the t-shirts I brought them, and the high seas show up with a gaggle of friends from the Seattle music scene. I even spot Bruce chatting with Jerry in the corner. The big surprise of the night is Izzy's parents. They arrive just in time to wish us luck before we take the stage.
Oh, that's cool.
Swooping in to kiss Izzy's cheek like the world's most aggressive sandwich. Ben and Donna Margolis are the epitome of cheer, smiley and supportive, well beyond the call of duty. Izzy's mom is short, with dark curly hair, and kind brown eyes just like Izzy's. while her dad is a string bean of a man with round spectacles balanced on large ears. I am immediately consumed by warmth when their attention falls on me. "You must be Steph." Her mom pulls me into a hug, then holds me at arm's length. "Oh, aren't you adorable?" "Let her breathe, Donna." Izzy's dad leans over his wife's shoulder and surveys me with sincere curiosity. "We've heard a lot about you. Our Izzy's steady rhythm section." "That's me." I point to my chest with both thumbs. If I'd known I'd be meeting the parents tonight, I might have, I don't know, practiced looking like a responsible adult person they can feel confident about trusting with their daughter. But maybe it's better that they're getting me as I am, nervous and uncertain, dressed in a black jean jacket with alternating leather and lace chokers around my neck that Izzy picked out for me. "We're just so proud of you," Donna says, stroking Izzy's hair. "Mom." She swats her away and grabs her guitar. "We have to go on in a minute." Okay. Her mom holds up her hands in surrender. "Let me just get one photo." Izzy's dad places a hand on her mom's arm, but she shakes him off. "Oh, leave it, Ben. Let me have this, at least." Izzy groans, but beckons me over to pose. She slings her arm around my waist and says cheese when prompted. I do my best to match her energy, but by the time I've positioned the smile on my face, it's over.
The tradition of dorky parents continue. Nice to see that doesn't change.
And Izzy is pulling away toward the stage door. I turn to follow, but my attention is pulled back by a light tapping on my shoulder. I turn to see Izzy's dad standing behind me, shoulders rounded, hands in his pockets. Hi, I say, awkward as can be. Luckily, Izzy's dad doesn't seem to notice. Pretty damn awkward himself. He glances down at his shoes, then up at my face and says, "Thanks, Steph." I furrow my brow. For what? For being what she needs. His lips thin and nearly disappear into a smile. It means a lot to see her so happy. I open my mouth. Is Izzy happy? Am I? Happiness feels like this thing we keep narrowly missing, like an exit on the freeway, even though we're following all the signs. Luckily, Izzy's mom saves me the trouble by saying with a gasp, "Ah, how sweet." She holds up her phone with the picture she just took, and I peer at the image. The difference is night and day, compared with the one I took this morning. Izzy looks radiant. She practically glows with energy and exuberance, her smile so bright it could light the whole stage. Beside her, I look small and uncertain, like an old accessory that doesn't quite match her outfit. "Come on, Steph." Izzy tugs me toward the door, and we spill out onto the stage to the sound of our names over the speakers. The lights hit my eyes as I find my way over to the drum set, squinting and feeling for the seat. But even though I can't see the audience, I can see something else. 2 pictures, 2 girls, 2 lives. And it dawns on me that maybe there's a reason we don't look like we belong in each other's. 27. It's a breezy 4-hour drive from Seattle to Salem. Izzy seems content to drive the whole way. She turns on the radio, since the van was built sometime between the era of tape decks and aux ports, and flips channels until we finally find something gay to listen to. The new Hayley Kiyoko song blares from the speakers, and we sing along to Curious, as loud as we can. As far as road trips go, I can't really ask for much more. Green landscapes zoom across my passenger window. Forests and fields and the occasional train. It's peaceful in a way, but as we cross the border between Washington and Oregon, I put my hand on Izzy's knee and squeeze. "Hungry?" I ask. She jams her thumb over her shoulder and says, "Snacks in the back." "Right. Do you want to stop, though?" "I'm good." Her voice is cheerful and unbothered, eyes trained on the road. "Okay, but Portland could be fun, and we don't have to be at the venue till evening." I glance at her trying to read her face, but it's blank. Come on. Bet we'll see something weird. Izzy worries her lip and checks the clock. I guess, but only for a little bit, okay? I don't want to hit traffic. I let my eyes drift to the clock as well. 12:05. I resist the urge to tease her. There's no way we'll hit traffic this early. Whipping out my phone, I pull up my Maps app. Get ready for a Portland adventure. I may not be an Oregonian anymore, but I still feel like an ambassador, taking Izzy around to all the Portland sites. We only have a couple hours before we need to be back on the road, so I narrow down to the essentials. First on the agenda is a trip to Voodoo Donut. I went there once with Chloe after Portland Pride, and we laughed until we cried over the donut names, ranging from clever to crude. On the drive back, we invented our own flavors. Mine was vanilla glaze dipped in rainbow nerds, and Chloe's creation was an everything donut. You know, like everything bagel but sweet. I approached the bubblegum pink building with a skip in my step, holding open the door for Izzy. After you, milady, I say with a short bow. I get the bacon maple bar, and Izzy gets the grape ape at the recommendation of the guy behind the counter. We hold hands as we lean against the van, eating our donuts. So, I ask after she's taken a few bites. Surprisingly not cough syrupy. She inspects her donut with all the care of a lab technician. It shouldn't work, but it does. I get the hype. I pump my fist triumphantly. Score 1 for Steph. Izzy squeezes my hand, then goes to open the driver's side door. Okay, back to the road? Absolutely not, I say through a mouthful of donut. We've barely just begun. I direct her over the Burnside Bridge to Powell's, and I know I've hit a home run when her jaw drops open as we enter. As far as bookstores go, this one's pretty much the holy grail, taking up a full city block. Powell's is full of tomes from floor to ceiling. They don't call it the city of books for nothing. We lose ourselves among the shelves. Izzy peruses poetry while I familiarize myself with the slope of her neck and the muscle that pops from beneath her racer-back tank top every time she reaches for a higher shelf. I plant my hands on her waist and cozy up behind her to watch her absorb the world around her. An hour later, my arms are full of books, and Izzy is all smiles. You realize we have to fit these in the van, right? I ask. It'll be fine. Izzy waves me off as she pays the cashier. Oh, it will? Will it? Where are you going to put them? Inside the bass drum? No, I already put my sweaters in there. Oh my God, I was kidding, but okay. In the end, we managed to cram them in the glove compartment and wedge between Izzy's amp and her suitcase before we get back on the freeway and drive south. When I check my phone, I've got a text from Jordy. How's the tour, Rockstar? Stopped in Portland? Izzy bought us a portable library at Powell's. Cute. Not cute. There's barely room to think in here. Well, shit. Izzy slumps back against the seat as the car slows. So much for beating the traffic. I look up from my phone to see 3 lanes of cars stopped ahead. There are curves upon curves of them, so it's hard to see what's caused a traffic jam at 2 in the afternoon. I navigate over to Maps. There's a red line tracing the freeway for, well, miles. Looks like it's gonna be a while. Izzy slams her palms against the steering wheel, and her jaw tightens. I knew we shouldn't have stopped. Total waste of time. I stiffen. Waste of time? I had to practically drag you out of Powell's. Whatever, it doesn't matter. She exhales hard. We're probably going to be late now, thanks to your side trip. Okay, you know what? No. I turn to face her, seatbelt painfully digging into my throat. You were having a good time. You like the donut, you like the bookstore. You don't get to blame me for something neither of us could have seen coming. I would have just kept driving if it was up to me. We stopped for you. Wow. Okay. I grit my teeth as I stare down at the red outline of the Terwilliger curves on my phone. My stomach churns an angry sea, and I'm reminded of another ill-fated road trip in recent history. Was this how Izzy felt when she took me to the coast? Only for me to pop like a blister? She was trying to do something nice, just like I'm trying to do today. But no amount of trying can prevent failing, I guess. Dad would absolutely quote Yoda to me in this moment, and it would be supremely unhelpful. But there's another dad tactic I can use. With a few swipes on my phone, I pull up an alternate route. Take this exit, I say with as much authority as I can muster. We'll take the back roads. Maybe I did the wrong thing today, and maybe I didn't, but either way, I can still fix it. Izzy doesn't argue, just follows my directions as I navigate us over to Highway 99 instead. We get stuck behind a tractor going 30 miles an hour for a long stretch, but we still make it to Salem with plenty of time to spare. When we finally climb out of the van, Izzy groans and stretches her muscles, but otherwise doesn't speak to me as we unload our instruments. We dress in silence, but minutes before we're set to go on, Izzy crosses over to me with a red makeup pencil in hand. Here, she says, and leans over me to draw a heart on my cheek. Let's rock, okay? A tingle starts in my belly and spreads warmth up to my chest as I look at the little red heart on my skin in the mirror. It's like an apology, like forgiveness. Maybe marking me like this is Izzy's way of saying we'll be okay. Or maybe, as I realize when we walk out on stage to see a plethora of pink and red streamers, it's just because it's Valentine's Day. 28. It takes us 2 days to get to Sacramento, and when we do, I couldn't be more thrilled to get out of the van and be somewhere Izzy isn't. The van is littered with water bottles and chip bags, and it's beginning to smell distinctly road trippy. After a night spent in a campground near Ashland, sleeping back to back in the van and barely communicating beyond directions, I'm ready for a change of scenery and company. Gran meets us in the driveway, her white puffball hair like a beacon as she waves us toward the front door of their 2-story townhouse. It's painted bright turquoise, despite protests from the Homeowners Association, as she'll tell anyone who asks, with a rainbow progress flag posted above the door next to an American flag of the same size. Oh, Steph, sweetie. She scoops me into her arms and hugs me tight. It's been too long. She's not wrong. In the years between my early childhood spent in Sacramento and now, she's changed almost as much as I have. Her skin is looser, her wrinkles are deeper, but so is her smile. Suddenly, it hits me that I haven't seen her since Mom's funeral. And even then, I was too emotionally wrung out to really pay attention to anything other than my grief. It wasn't even her own flesh and blood, just her ex-daughter-in-law. But still, she came and sought me out and let me cry into her blouse. It's black. No one will notice any tear stains, she'd said. That's the trick to surviving what life throws at you, you know? Sensible clothing, especially shoes.
Oh, excuse me.
I smile at the memory, at how resolutely I have adopted her advice into my life. I squeeze her to my chest and whisper, I have to pee so badly. Gran barks a laugh and points to the door. You know where to go. I take off at a half-skip, half-run, chased by the sound of Izzy introducing herself to Gran. I know I should facilitate that sort of thing, but they're both adults. They can handle a little social awkwardness to save my poor, unattended bladder. By the time I return, snaking my way through Gran's house by memory, I find them in the living room, sipping Arnold Palmer's. Steph, join us. Gran pats the magenta and yellow sofa next to her. I cross the room, decorated in brilliant gem tones, all screaming together in the world's most intense visual harmony, and accept the offered glass with little ice cubes shaped like skulls floating in the liquid. Gran's always had eccentric taste, and I see that hasn't ebbed at all in the years since Grandpa died. If anything, she's become more flamboyant. I spot a new addition to her decor, a taxidermy weasel by the fireplace to which she has affixed a sparkly unicorn horn. Izzy was just telling me about your tour. How exciting! This is a much bigger deal than you led me to believe, young lady. She waggles her finger at me. I raise my eyebrows at Izzy, who catches my gaze above her drink. Well, we are rock stars, I guess. I was just explaining that there are a couple of talent scouts coming to our SAC and Reno gigs, Izzy says. You remember? I told you about them. I definitely don't remember, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't, so I just shrug. Hopefully they'll like us. Oh, what happens if they do? Gran turns to face Izzy, elbows propped on her knees to form a shelf for her chin. Tell me everything. A smile inches across Izzy's face as she describes the kind of success we could find along the road. The big break that might be awaiting us at any one of the shows we'll play. Record deals, endorsements, the connections we'll make. She lights up as she speaks, and I want to share her hope. But the longer she goes on, the more I wither and dim. Eventually, I make my escape to begin unpacking our essentials from the van. It's good to move my legs, to use my muscles for something other than bracing for the next fight we'll have. I text Jordy, just so I can tell someone how I'm feeling. Fighting with Izzy again. Oh shit. You doing okay? Yeah, I guess. Feeling real shitty though. But it'll pass. Always does. You mean you always find a distraction? Roast me, why don't you? I swear to God, Steph, if you text me tomorrow to say you proposed, I will get on a plane to smack some sense into you. Ow. Too roasty toasty. I know Jordy's joking, but the familiar prickling of his accusation rises to the surface. This pattern that Izzy and I have slipped into, where we fight and make up, then fight and make up, without ever actually resolving anything, is precarious at best. I keep hoping it'll get better. Keep hoping we'll find a way to fix whatever's broken.
Yeah, that is not That does not bode well for a suitable long-term relationship, like at all. Because the fact that you fight and stuff all the time is not good at all. It's like the old stereotype of either or you have the little meme or something where you just have two people and then they're like arguing and yelling at each other and then they just instantly stop and then just jump on each other and just fuck afterwards, and it's like that is not a very healthy relationship at all. Like at all. They did the because it reminds me of the scene in Futurama with the professor and mom where they just like were yelling at each other and then they just jump each other's bones like 2 seconds later, and it's like what? Not very good. Well, hopefully they resolve something. We'll see. We still got a couple of chapters left, so maybe something will happen.
I know I'm trying. I know she's trying. But for some reason, it doesn't feel like we're really trying together. And maybe that's it. That's what's broken. Before I can get too deep in my feelings, Gran reappears on the doorstep, barefoot and showing off a tarnished toe ring. Izzy's gone upstairs to take a little nap, poor thing. You really should offer to drive part of the way. I sigh and sink down onto the lawn. A wild patch of clover next to her neighbor's perfectly manicured grass. She won't let me, Gran. Izzy likes to be behind the wheel. Ah, I see. Gran joins me, settling beside a statue of a gnome in a strawberry hat. She pats the gnome on the head as if in greeting, then says, "Would you say she's driven?" The joke comes out of nowhere, and I bark a laugh. Gran. Well, someone had to say it, and Tobias isn't around anymore. Grandpa's name spills so effortlessly from her lips.
Clearly, as I said before, seems like the dorkiness and cringiness is genetic, apparently. Oh, so funny. But hey, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be this franchise without some consistent little dorky, cringy jokes here and there, huh?
And my shoulders tense a little. "It's okay," she says. "He's been gone a long time." Longer than Mom is what she doesn't say. But still, not by that much. I feel so small beside her, this woman who can laugh and joke in the face of loss. And maybe we're actually similar that way, because that's what I do most of the time. Optimism is how I've made it as far as I have, but sometimes it feels real, and sometimes it feels more like a mask. "How do you do it?" I ask after a short pause. "How do you carry on after?" "Practice, sweetie. It's all practice." She gives me a smile so bright I almost miss the sadness layered underneath. "When your grandpa died, I was a lot younger than I thought I'd be. A bit like you with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to lose people before we're ready. And we're rarely ever ready. But it gets easier with time." I nod, a tightness rising in my throat. "Don't you worry about losing their memory? Like if you let go of grief, you'll let go of them too?"
Mm.
"No, not at all." Gran reaches for my hand and lays it palm up between both of hers, like a little hand sandwich. "Learning how to love someone who's gone is like learning how to ride a bike. It's all a balancing act, and if you try to hop on and pedal right after, you'll wipe out on the pavement. Grief is kind of like training wheels. At first, you can't even think about those you've lost without the grief. You need it, because you have to process the loss. But eventually, you'll be able to think about them, and miss them, and honor them without it." "Yeah?" I choke out the word, unable to reach for more with my voice. "Yeah." She nods. "Of course, it helps to have an absolutely sterling sense of humor like I do." "Of course." A chuckle ripples through my chest painfully. "You ever tried stand-up?" "Please, with my bad hip?" "More like sit down." She lets go of my hand and instead wraps an arm around my shoulder.
That was very Steph's grandmother. That was a very good explanation of dealing with somebody's with a very close with somebody very close who passes. Very good way of talking about that, and especially Steph pretty much saying what she like, why she finds it so hard to accept and try to move on from the loss. So it's a good thing that her grandmother is able to tell her, like, you know, like it doesn't mean you're like trying to just because you're trying to get over the grief of their loss does not mean that you're going to that you're like forgetting about them or like just pushing them to the side or anything. Like it's not that. So good good on grandmama.
It also helps to have people you love around you. I wince. Wish we lived closer sometimes. Oh, I don't mean to make you feel guilty. Really, I've got people here. You sure? I mean, you have more than just like Bridge Club or whatever, right? Bridge Club? What do you take me for? Gran fixes me with a dead-eyed stare. Me and the girls are far more interesting than that. Lois organized a ballroom dancing night for us last week, and every Tuesday we get together to call our elected representatives about whatever new poppycock that idiot-in-chief is saying. Gran. I lean back and survey her through new eyes. What? You thought I wasn't cool? I have to laugh at that. No way. With lawn decor like this? How could you be anything but? I point to a couple of plastic flamingos dressed in handmade cowboy hats and fringed vests.
I wonder who's the idiot in chief that they're referring to. And keep in mind, people, this part of the story is taking place in 2017. So I think it's not very hard for you to figure out who specifically they're talking about with that one.
That's right. She jabs a thumb into her chest. We're going to be the most punk rock grannies at your show. I don't point out that she and her friends will probably be the only grannies there. Instead, I lean my head on her shoulder and take a deep breath, letting her energy fill my lungs. I'm glad you've got her, Gran says. It takes me a minute to realize who she means. Who? Izzy? She's a lovely girl. Focused, lots of energy and passion. Gran nods as though agreeing with herself. Yes, you found a good one. I like her. She holds out her hands and beckons me. Now help an old lady get back up. My back's not what it used to be. I scramble to my feet and help her stand. It's not lost on me that she was there for me when I was just a toddle thing, probably helping me back up time and time again. She's not mom, but she's family. And it's nice that she likes Izzy. As we make our way inside, Dad's words echo in my head. It's a lot more important that you like her. And I don't know, maybe it's just exhaustion from the road trip or fatigue from our fight. But while I'm pretty sure I love Izzy, I'm not sure if I like her anymore. And that would be a lot easier to swallow if Gran didn't either. We say goodbye to Gran in her quirky California home in the early morning after our show at the Junkyard Music Hall. I barely have time to wipe the smudged eyeliner from my face before Izzy's handing me a power bar and an iced coffee for the road. It was a good show. I can tell because Izzy is all smiles as we pull out of the driveway, despite the lack of sleep. She chatters about some guy named Gray who I gather is a talent agent or something. It's the happiest I've seen her in a while, and so I resolve to be happy too. It's easier said than done, though, as our show in Reno is packed to the brim with strangers. It's not the first time we've played for a crowd of people we don't know, but it's disorienting to be on stage with no face in the audience to ground me. My eyes keep flickering to Izzy, who never once catches my gaze. She stands, centered on stage, under purple and white lights like some kind of punk fairy princess in a metallic blue dress. I'm reminded so strongly of the first time I saw her play. Her overpowering stage presence that entranced me so effortlessly. Back then, I was just some girl in the crowd. Now, I'm on stage behind her, laying down a rhythm for her melody. But somehow, this is the most I've ever felt like a spectator. It feels like only minutes pass between leaving the stage at Sam's Saloon in Reno to climbing up behind the drums again at Atomic Decay in Salt Lake City. It's the longest drive we've had yet, but I can't really remember much of it except flashes of landscape and billboards. Izzy's voice blends into the vibration of the van against pavement as she talks herself in circles about the order of songs in our set and whether we should open or end with Riot Pride at the next stop. I focus on the music instead, looping through our songs in my head as we drive. I want to play a good show for all the people who will come out to see us. I want to play a good show for Izzy, the one constant whose opinion I really care about. We take the stage to an uproar of applause that never seems to cease throughout our set. I see rainbow flags everywhere, like it's Pride all over again. The energy of the crowd is hypnotic as Izzy tells jokes and shares anecdotes about each song. I chime in like we practiced, but even our unstaged banner feels more performance than playful. After Riot Pride, cheering engulfs us. It's our last song, and judging from the pride flags thrust into the air, I can tell the crowd really love it. "Thank you so much, Reno!" I shout into my mic. There's a dip in the applause, and Izzy laughs awkwardly, the sound reverberating through the venue. She means Salt Lake City. All my muscles go taut as I look out at the room, so similar to the last we played, I can barely tell the difference. Salem, Sacramento, Reno, Salt Lake City. Same songs, different towns. Tour life, right? I say nervously. Can you tell we haven't been sleeping much? There's an uncomfortable silence after I speak, in which I contemplate what the punishment is for musicians who shout out the wrong city. There's a whoop from the back of the crowd, and someone yells, "Love wins!" The tension releases and ripples as people laugh and wolf whistle. And even though they've incorrectly pinpointed the reason for my insomnia, Izzy seems to relax a little too. "At least she always gets my name right, and that's really what counts," she says with a chuckle. But as we leave the stage, the light in her eyes goes out, and all that's left is a dull annoyance. "Good save," I murmur under my breath. "Yeah, could have been worse." Izzy unhooks the strap and hands her guitar to me. "If you're that tired, maybe you should get some sleep while I meet with the record label guys on my own." I shrug and watch her disappear into the crowd. But my stomach does a complicated twisty dive. The kind that makes me almost seasick to watch during the Olympics. Because, yeah, I don't really want to meet with the record label guys. That's way more Izzy's realm than mine. Still, I don't feel like going back to the van on my own. I finish dismantling my drum kit on my own instead. It's not exactly easy work, but it's soothing in a way. Gives my hands something to do while my mind spins. By the time I'm done, there's still a decent crowd dancing to a pre-selected playlist that's a mix of top 40 and classic rock. I scan the room for Izzy, but I don't see her. So I make my way to the bar and order a cider. The bartender slides my drink to me without a word, and I glance at the people around me. There's a couple in low conversation to my right, and a group of older women in artfully ripped t-shirts and bandanas. Everyone is chatting and laughing and dancing. I feel so small and slow, like I'm falling through thick honey. When I can see the bottom of my glass, I hesitate. I could order another. The rhythm from the speakers lures me into a comfortable disassociation, and I kind of like sitting here in the dark where no one is looking at me, where no one is expecting a performance. But when the bartender asks me if I'd like a refill, I shake my head. I'm surrounded by people, but I've never felt more alone. This is how we always do things after a show, separately. But I usually have Jordy and Ollie around, or the high seas to keep me company. Now all I have is this cider that tastes more bitter than sweet on my tongue. I pay for my drink and make my way through the crowd. I cast a cursory glance around for Izzy and spot her at a corner table with a couple of people. They must be the people from the label. I don't want to bug her, especially not while she's working so hard for our future. So I slip out the side door, silent as a shadow. Outside, the Salt Lake City night is sharp with cold. I climb into the back of the van and fumble for a sweatshirt in the dark. My hand passes over a sticky candy wrapper and a pile of dirty laundry before I find the soft fabric of one of Izzy's cardigans. I stick my arms through the holes, barely caring that I've put it on upside down. Even though it's freezing, I can't bring myself to stay inside. The scent of leftover drive-through food mingles in the air with my own sweat, and I feel like I'm in the world's worst smelling hotbox. I'm sitting on the cold concrete curb, staring up at the stars, when Izzy finally leaves the club. She's all smiles and excitement. "I think this is going to be really good," she says, climbing into the back of the van. "They've got a couple other people they're sending to our Denver show, but I think it's basically in the bag. They really like our sound, but even more, they really like us. Isn't that cool? Steph?" I blink and nod. "Yeah. Cool." I knew this tour was going to be good for us. I don't say what I'm thinking, which is that she didn't even think the tour was a good idea in the first place. I don't say that what's good for the band might not always be good for the relationship. I don't say anything at all. Izzy reaches for my hand to pull me up into the van, but I resist. I'm not quite ready yet. "Want to look at the stars for a bit?" I ask, pointing up at the night sky, full of twinkling lights. "I can tell you what shapes I see, and then you can tell me what constellations they actually are." "No way, it's freezing out there." Izzy shivers and scoots further into the van. "Besides, gotta get some sleep before we head out tomorrow." "Sure, right, of course." I pull my arms around my body, but I don't follow. "I'll just be a few more minutes." The van door clicks shut, and I'm alone again. I don't know how long I sit there, but eventually I'm roused from my reverie by a buzzing in my pocket. I pull out my phone to see a new message on Reddit, and I smile when I see who it's from. Gabe Surdity 93. "Next stop, Haven Springs. Can't wait." My chest fills with air. It feels like the first full breath I've taken in days. 29. Haven Springs is nestled in a close embrace of the Rocky Mountains and a glittering blue lake. We take a winding road through the mountains, and the eagle-eye view of town from above is straight off a gift shop postcard. My jaw hangs open, and I very nearly forget to watch the road as we make our way into town. "Steph, pay attention." Izzy smacks my arm lightly and groans, sinking deeper into the passenger seat. Sorry. I grapple the steering wheel and train my eyes forward just in time to narrowly miss hitting a deer, casually strolling across the highway. After a couple hours of the windy climb over the Rockies, Izzy's stomach revolted and she finally let me drive. "We're almost there," I say, glancing at her ashen complexion. She looks worse now than when we stopped to switch seats. There's visible sweat on her brow, and her lips are pursed like she's just eaten sour candy. Izzy reaches for her water bottle and empties the rest into her mouth. "We're getting ginger ale as soon as we stop." "Absolutely, and some fresh air." I speed up just a little, narrowing my focus to the road. When I pull up outside the Black Lantern, I hop from the van and rush around the other side to help Izzy. She plants her feet on the pavement and breathes heavily with her hands on her knees. "You okay?" I ask, placing my hand at the center of Izzy's back. "Need a barf bag?" Izzy shakes her head, then winces at the motion. "Nah, just need to lie down or something." "Hey there!" A jolly voice greets us, and I look up into the smiling, bearded face of a guy about my age. Hi, I say.
Gabe?
Sorry, my girlfriend's just a little sick. We can move our van in a sec. Huh? He looks at me quizzically. No, you don't have to. This is fine. Sorry. I'm Gabe. Gabe Chen.
Yeah, there you go.
We've been talking on Reddit. He points his thumb back at his chest. You're Steph, right? Gabe. Oh, good. I was like worried we parked in a tow zone or something. I mean, you definitely did. He looks over my shoulder at the street behind us. I don't know how you even managed to get down here. You're not supposed to drive on Main Street, but it's totally fine. We'll get your instruments unloaded and then find you a real parking spot. Hey, violently ill person here, can I sit down? Izzy looks paler than before, if possible. Feel like I'm gonna faint or something. Altitude sickness got you, huh? Gabe winces. It happened to me when I first got here, too. Come on, my place is upstairs. You can lie down there for a bit. I tighten my grip around her waist and let her lean into me as we follow Gabe inside. What? No paparazzi. A gruff voice greets us as a bell chimes overhead at our entrance. Behind the bar stands a tall man sporting an impressive mustache and wearing green flannel. These are the rock stars, right? Not exactly that kind of rock star, I say, but then tack on, yet. Ha! That's the spirit. The man wipes his hands on a rag and circles around the bar. The name's Jed. This is Steph and Izzy, Gabe says, pointing to each of us in turn. Jed owns this place. Plus, he's a local hero. Jed waves a hand in dismissal. Oh, please. No need to bring that up. Ancient history. Well, you're my personal hero, too. Gabe just shrugs, like it's not a total cheeseball line. He turns toward me and says, Jed gave me a job here when I first came to Haven, and a room upstairs. It's not every boss who'd be that generous. This guy, he's a good one. Haven wouldn't be the same without him. Flattery will get you nowhere with me, son. Now go on. I've got work to do so you can have your big rock concert. He shoos us toward the stairs. Gabe takes the lead and Izzy follows. But I just turn slowly on the spot, taking the place in. The black lantern is empty except for the four of us, but I've never been in a room that feels so full. The walls are decorated with plaques and photographs. There's an enormous red chandelier above the bar and neon signs everywhere, lighting up the otherwise dark space. My eyes bounce around the room, from a jukebox in the corner, to old-looking maps on the walls, to a huge taxidermy bear by the pool table. I've never been anywhere like it, and yet it feels so familiar, so homey, so lived in. Kind of small, Izzy mutters as she eases herself up the staircase. I stiffen a little. She's not wrong. This place is definitely more pub than concert venue. But it's far from the first thing I noticed. It's not like we haven't played our fair share of bars, though, and it is a small town. Gabe leads us upstairs to the loft, and a warm feeling spreads from my chest out to my limbs. It's one room, but it feels so much bigger, with a high ceiling and big windows. Sweet space. I eye the Torchheads poster above a corkboard full of flyers and ticket stubs. Welcome to my crib, Gabe says with a flourish.
Pretty much like a
Izzy
studio.
staggers over to the couch and flops face first onto it. Ugh, she says, eloquent as always. My gaze lingers on her for a moment before my attention does a hop, skip, and a jump across the TV, a record player, and... Oh my god, foosball? No way! I dash over to an old foosball table and give one of the handles a good spin. You play? Gabe asks, joining me. Not even a little bit, but I bet I could kick your ass. Is that a challenge? Izzy lets out another unintelligible sound. Can I request that any ass-kicking occurs after I stop feeling like an inflated slug? Right. I give Gabe an apologetic look. To his credit, Gabe doesn't look put out at all. Instead, he crosses over to the kitchen and fills a glass with water. From a lower cabinet, he grabs a packet of crackers and a straw before setting it all down on the coffee table. Altitude sickness can really suck, so take it easy. Hydrate and try to eat something with salt to keep your body functional. If you start to feel better, help yourself to anything in the fridge. He pats the arm of the sofa and stands up. We'll get out of your hair. Let you nap. What do you say, Steph? How about a Haven Springs tour from an expert? Ah, yes. But where will we find an expert? I ask, contorting my lips into a goofy grin. He nudges my shoulder as he passes me and opens the door. Haha, very funny. And the thing is, it's not very funny, but we both still laugh anyway. It's like something about this place has let me finally exhale a breath I didn't know I was holding. Even this high up in the mountains where the oxygen levels are enough to lay Izzy flat, it feels so good to really breathe again. It turns out, aside from some residential areas, Haven Springs is just the one block. But somehow this tiny town holds my interest the way almost nothing else has in recent months. And maybe it's not so much the town as it is Gabe's love for it. He lights up as he walks me up and down the street, showing me all his favorite spots. This place is new, just opened a few weeks ago, but you gotta try the ice cream, Gabe exclaims, pointing up at a sign with snowy mountain peaks that says Avalanche Ice Cream. In February? It's not snowing or anything, but I still have my puffy blue coat over my flannel and my hands jammed in my pockets. Yes! Gabe takes me by the shoulders. It's the thrill of the chill. Well, when you put it like that, my flavor is Rocky Road. Yeah, your flavor is whatever Sunny decides it is. Sunny? I ask, peering inside the ice cream parlor to see a middle-aged man with bright eyes and a brighter smile beckoning us to come in. You're gonna love him, Gabe chuckles. He's got a real talent for flavors that really shouldn't work, but somehow do. My favorite so far is cereal milk. Cereal milk? I ask as we push open the doors. Yeah, you'll see. It's a lawless land in there. We leave a few minutes later with our ice cream cones. Gabe gets strawberry balsamic, and I take his recommendation for cereal milk, which, lo and behold, tastes like the dregs of a bowl of Cheerios. Our conversation halts as we lick our ice cream, leaving me time to really absorb the town. Just like inside the Black Lantern, my eyes can't decide what to look at first. Tall lamps mark the brick pathway every few feet. Spiral pattern ribbons looped around the base like on a maypole. Little purple crocuses burst from the ground, and colorful murals cover the sides of buildings. It feels like a festival, even on a mostly empty street. We meander down the street a bit to sit on a bench, and my gaze lands on a majestic statue of a deer in the middle of the street. The sculpture is hauntingly real, muscles sculpted in iron as if in motion. What's with the deer? I ask. Gabe shrugs. Dunno. Guess we just take deer pretty seriously in this town. Does it have a name? Gabe cocks his head, eyebrows joining at the center of his forehead. You know, I don't know. Maybe we should name it. Deirdre, I suggest. I don't know, I think it's a boy, right? With the antlers? Okay, well, gender is a construct, but I see your point. I roll my lip between my teeth. Bucky. Gabe chortles and shakes his head. We've got a local named Ducky, and I think people would get confused. Okay, well, what would you name it? Stagatha Christie. Oh, that's good. But what happened to it being a boy? Gabe shrugs. You're right. Gender is a construct. I take a lick of my ice cream, but I barely taste it. For some reason, I can't tear my eyes from this statue. It looks so real, like the way its head is tipped up like it smells something delicious. Maybe it's the pine trees. Maybe it's the ice cream. Gabe raises his cone like he's making a toast, but clips the side of his face so the ice cream smashes against his nose and lips, leaving a perfect pink circle in the middle of his face. Rudolph? Is that you? I'm your biggest fan. I cackle, but hand him one of the napkins wrapped around my cone. Gabe, I thought I heard your voice. The door to the Silver Dragon, a little dispensary a few doors down from the flower shop,
Charlotte.
opens, and through it steps a black woman with gold jewelry and at least 3 layers of colorful cardigans. She looks, in a word, cozy, like she probably gives great hugs. Ah, and you must be drugstore makeup. Hey, yeah, I'm Steph. My other half is upstairs. I jab my thumb over my shoulder at the black lantern, just up the street. This is my girlfriend, Charlotte, Gabe says. Hopefully that's still true now that she's seen me with ice cream all over my face. Charlotte purses her lips, failing to suppress a smile, and laces her fingers with his. It'll take more than a little ice cream to send me packing. My chest swells a little painfully at the look they give each other, the smile that tugs Gabe's lips to the left, the certainty in Charlotte's eyes. It's a quiet kind of love, the kind that doesn't have to prove itself. You coming to the show? I ask. I wish. Charlotte's eyes snap back to me. I have to drop my son off with his father tonight. Otherwise, I'd be there. Ethan's really disappointed, too. Yeah, you're gonna miss all my sexiest dance moves. Oh, yes, the fabled dance moves. Charlotte kisses Gabe on the cheek. Maybe it's better for you if I don't see those. Your loss. I'm going to tear it up tonight. Gabe quirks an eyebrow and swings his arms into an impressively bad robot. Charlotte and I both burst into laughter. Oh, I can't wait to see more, I say when I catch my breath. Izzy's gonna love that. I hope she feels better soon. Gabe's smile falters and he glances back at the black lantern. She's missing out. I nod. But I can't help but think if she were here with us, we wouldn't be laughing half so much. I stand straighter, refusing to let the moment crumble. Come on, what else do you have to show me, Mr. Haven Springs? Under no circumstances will I be calling you Mr. Haven Springs. Charlotte deadpans, but she's smiling as she gives him a squeeze and retreats into the shop. You haven't seen the lake yet, have you? Gabe points down the street toward a dock at the end, and we meander toward it. This is my favorite part of town, he says. Even when this place is bustling, it's always quiet down here. I step onto the dock and immediately feel a shift. A weight lifts from my shoulders and my feet skim across the wooden boards as light as cappuccino foam. The lake spreads out beneath me, shimmering and still like glass. Mountains rise up from the opposite shore, snowy peaks reaching for the sky. I want to reach with them, so I do. I put my arms in the air and stretch, feeling all the tension in my body unspool. From the end of the dock, I can see the sprawling expanse of a wooded park. Little fairy lights hang from some of the tree branches, and a spark ignites in me. I want to see this place at night. I want to see this place in spring, in summer, and even in fall. I want to see how it changes with the seasons. I want to see how I might too. 30. As the sun sets over Haven Springs, the lights in the black lantern shine a beacon, recalling us before the show. I'm surprised to see Izzy downstairs setting up her amp in a corner. Her hair is pulled back into a loose ponytail, and I can see the color has returned to her cheeks. The patient lives! Gabe exclaims as we enter. Izzy stands, and there's a smile on her face. Small, but it counts. I will never again disparage the healing properties of saltines. I bounce over to her and plant a kiss on her cheek. You look so much better. She just raises an eyebrow, as if to say, so do you. And she wouldn't be wrong. There's an energy around us that wasn't there before. And I don't know if it's the air, the place, the people, Whatever it is, I'm grateful. It feels like a rising bubble of hope, like there's still joy to be found along this trip, and we're about to unearth a whole lot of it. I wrap my arms around Izzy's waist and lift her up. This place is so cool. I can't wait to play for the people here. Well, I'll get out of your hair. Jed crosses over from the bar and claps Gabe on the shoulder. You sure you don't want to stay? Gabe asks. Nah, I don't want to be in the way. You young folks have fun. Don't forget to lock up after. Ducky's whiskey is on the shelf if you ask for it, but make sure he pays you this time. Right. Gabe points to us and winks. Rock stars drink for free, though. Perks. I sweep Izzy toward the bar. How will you ever make a profit like this? Gabe laughs, filling glasses with foaming golden beer. Don't worry about that. We have plenty of paying customers. But it turns out Gabe's wrong about that. 7 o'clock comes, but no one else does. The door to the Black Lantern stays resolutely shut all night. This is so embarrassing. Gabe checks out the window for what seems like the 20th time in as many minutes. I swear I did actually tell people about it. I put up flyers and everything. We believe you. It's okay, I say, but I glance at Izzy to see how okay it actually is. She shrugs and plays a chord that reverberates through the room. The acoustics, it has to be said, do not suck in the Black Lantern. Something about the shape of the room or something really amplifies our sound in a cool way. I'm going to call Ryan again. He gets off work in like an hour and I'm sure he'll show. Gabe grabs his phone and starts dialing. Don't worry about it. Izzy's voice is lazy and languid. A smile spreads across her face and she picks out a few more notes on her guitar. The opening melody of Beanie Babe. It sends a little ripple through me. My spine caving toward her, bowing like a willow in the wind. Music doesn't need an audience to be great. I don't need any more invitation than that. I swipe my drumsticks off the floor tom and raise them high above my head to count us off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gabe's dance moves are as horrendous as advertised, but Izzy and I don't care. He jumps out from behind the bar, waving his arms in the air and twisting his hips. He applauds and cheers our name at the end of every song, more enthusiastic than even the most packed shows we've played. And yeah, it's just one guy. But it's also us, me and Izzy, playing for each other. Here in this room, there are no talent scouts, no lofty expectations. We play our songs out of order, not caring about the flow of energy. Instead, we take requests from Gabe, some songs from our record, some covers we know and love, and we even throw a few new ones at him. Songs we haven't polished to perfection for the tour circuit. After we run through our set, repeating a couple songs at Gabe's insistence, Izzy runs upstairs to grab her notebook and plays a new song even I haven't heard yet. The lyrics paint a picture of a house made of books. The roof, the doors, the tables, the chairs. She sings about pages of history and fiction sitting side by side, sisters in arms. I can see the seed of inspiration, planted when we were at Pal's in Portland, a place I showed her. But when she hits the chorus, I realize the song isn't about books. It's about walls. It's about holding back and giving your all. It's about her and me. It's about what has been and what could be. I don't know the secrets you keep, but I'm asking you to take the leap. They're just 3 words. Read 'em and weep. I follow along as best I can on the drums, messing up here and there. Even Izzy plays a couple wrong notes on her guitar, but she smiles through all the mistakes. I wonder when you've gone to sleep, if you dream of something deep. With you and me, we sow what we reap. I falter a little at the honesty in her song. It's not an attack, and it's not an apology, just an acknowledgement of past blunders, of the bumps in the road. I have to hope she sees a steady course ahead, because I still feel so lost. And as the chorus bleeds into the bridge, she sings about the unknown, the gentle romance of mystery, the way love isn't always what we expect. But looks can be deceiving, so I'll climb the shelves and read of us in storybooks. It's not exactly a love song, but it's not one either. I feel splintered and whole all at once after. Like maybe I'm not the only one who's noticed this distance between us. Like maybe it isn't mine to cross alone. Gabe applauds us, but the sound is so distant I barely hear it. This feels less like a gig and more like that first time Izzy and I played together in the green room at Bar None. After Vinyl Resting Place booted her from the band. It feels brand new, like we can do anything we want. The world is our oyster. Nothing is off limits. And it also feels heavy and waterlogged, like we've been standing out in the rain all this time and only just noticed. I reach for her across the hi-hat, fingers tangling with hers, and I squeeze. I'm not a wordsmith like her, putting feelings to music, but I hope she understands through my touch what I'm trying to say. I'm here. Don't let go. It's almost midnight by the time we finish playing. I'm not tired at all. But Gabe says we might get in trouble if we go on too late. There's some kind of noise ordinance, so Izzy and I pack away our instruments and head upstairs while Gabe cleans up. The bar looks pretty much spotless to me, but I'm not about to argue, especially not with Izzy tugging me up toward the roof. The night air is blisteringly cold, but Izzy wraps me up in her arms and nuzzles her nose into the crook of my neck. It's a moment I want to savor, but there's something sour in my throat that I just can't seem to swallow. So, Haven Springs is kind of magical, huh? I stare off at the dark horizon. The mountain peaks carve a jagged smile in a starry sky, and the twinkle lights in the park are finally lit up. I guess, Izzy says into my shoulder. I'm just glad I don't feel so sick anymore. Me too. And I am glad. But there's a tiny part of me that feels protective of this place I'm just growing to love. And I guess really isn't good enough. I want to show you around tomorrow. Gabe took me to all the cool places and I think you'll really love it. All the cool places? She scoffs. It's like one street. I unspool from her grip and beckon her toward the edge so we can look down at the town. You have to try the ice cream, for sure, and there's a dispensary. Izzy follows me but drags her feet. We have all that stuff back home, Steph. I'm barely listening. There's a flower shop and a record store, and there's a totally cute bookstore, too. I already bought too many books this trip. Oh, and Gabe's girlfriend is so nice. You'll like her, I think. We need to get on the road. I open my mouth, ready to form more words, but my voice just stops. My mind is an echo chamber of her words. Back home, this trip, on the road. And something slams into place, so obvious. It's like the final puzzle piece after everything else has been fitted together. I don't want to leave. This is the best I've felt in weeks, maybe months. Haven is familiar and new all at once, like all the best parts of Arcadia Bay rolled into the mountains. It's something special. Even in all the ways it is mundane, and I think I want to stay.
That's a very interesting comparison that Steph is acknowledging here. That the main reason why she feels so comfortable in Haven in the first place is because that it feels very similar to the small, cozy town that Arcadia Bay was for her. So that's a pretty interesting comparison, which is also kind of a meta comparison too, because technically that is in reality what Haven Springs was originally conceived as anyway, was to get that feel is that Haven Springs was meant to be pretty much Arcadia Bay, but obviously in a different setting. So the fact of Steph in universe comparing Haven Springs to Arcadia Bay is a fun little acknowledgement of, yes, we in true colors we meant for Haven Springs to make you, the player and the audience, feel like you're coming back home in a sense, because for a lot of people who played the original Life is Strange and the is Arcadia Bay is kind of like home for the player. So having a town with a similar vibe or very close to a similar vibe and inciting similar emotions and stuff from the player and the audience is pretty much what was the purpose there for that, especially coming off of um, Life is Strange 2 that came out before True Colors, and the fact that Life is Strange 2, every episode kind of rebooted itself and went to different locations and stuff in every episode, and you never really stood in one place for too long and got to know too many people and stuff for so long. And even if you did, they were pretty much gone as soon as that episode was over. So so it's pretty fun that even in universe they're acknowledging that comparison, which is pretty funny. So, well, let's see how Steph is going to express these emotions to Izzy, because that's the biggest hurdle here is you're going to need to tell her. And if anyone went through True Colors, I think we kind of know how that's going to pan out. But let's see how they execute that here, because they kind of did a similar scene earlier in one situation and they kind of tweaked it a little bit. So let's see how they do it here.
I don't know how to say the words, so I skirt around them. I grew up in a small town. I say quietly, my voice soft with rounded edges, afraid anything sharper will puncture the moment. On the coast, obviously, but still. I think I'd like to live in one again someday. Really? I can't see you in a place like this. You get so bored. Izzy guffaws. Yeah, like, what would you even do on a Friday night around here? Go for an evening showing of the moon rising? Even the Black Lantern didn't have a single customer tonight. What a joke. Her words are a knife. Like her laughter is at me, not the town. I don't think it's a joke. You'd last like 3 days in this place before your brain would start to melt. Trust me, I know you. I stand up straighter, my shoulders clicking as I roll them back. Izzy reaches for me, her fingers glancing off my arm before I flinch away. No, Izzy, you don't. Okay, sorry. Izzy sighs, long and dramatic. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. I've been busting my ass trying to make this tour what you want it to be, trying to make you happy, and you just, it's like you're determined not to be or something. I pull back, staring at her with a pinched brow. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm not an idiot, Steph. I know we've got problems, but I thought this tour would fix things. Like, if we could make drugstore makeup into something successful, that would, I don't know, make everything okay? My stomach bottoms out at her words. I almost want to laugh. We've been doing the exact same thing, and still we've managed to somehow fuck it up. But it's not funny. It's just kind of sad. There's a lot more wrong than a tour can fix, huh? I say quietly, eyes traveling back out to look at the mountains. Yeah, well, I can't fix it if you don't want to talk about it. You have to stop expecting me to just get everything about you without you telling me. I know you have this thing with your hometown, but if you won't talk about it, then how am I supposed to understand? I shove my hands in my pockets and turn to face her.
Put any shrimp you want.
Oh, Lord. My friend of mine just came in to give me a little, let me see if we can see this, a little pop of Heimendinger from, if you ever seen, the Arcane show on, Netflix. So, that's a random gift on stream here. But now I lost my train of thought. What I was gonna comment. In any case, what I was going to say was, what I was going to say was that Izzy is not wrong. Is not wrong in what she's saying, because one of the main recurring problem in this whole relationship has been, and it's a number one thing that you need to have a good relationship, is communication. And there has been not that strong of communication throughout this relationship. So her saying that Izzy saying that I can't fix or attempt to fix our problems if you're not open and let me know how you're feeling and everything and what issues there are. How am I gonna help even try to fix anything if you don't tell me? So she's not wrong in that at all. So let's see how this is gonna go.
This isn't about Arcadia Bay. It's easy to lie to Izzy. I've made a habit of it when it comes to my hometown. But it's much harder to lie to myself because everything is about Arcadia Bay. Everything is always about Arcadia Bay. On some level, I've been in a holding pattern since the storm, since Mom died. I put myself in some kind of emotional cryo chamber, waiting for the day it doesn't hurt anymore to emerge. But that's not really living. Living is about making choices, taking action, doing things that will make me happy. It's about getting in the driver's seat and finding the path that will lead me where I'm supposed to go. Instead, I've been letting Izzy steer all this time. Pursuing her dreams, fighting for her joy, living for Izzy's dreams, so I don't have to figure out what mine are. Izzy. I trail off, no idea where to begin. But I do know one thing. I know what I want right now. I love it here. This town. This place. I gesture at the mountains above us, the stars twinkling in the sky, each one like a wink specifically for me, letting me know this is right. I think I want to stay. What, like until our next show? I guess I could go on ahead and you could take a bus or something. No, I mean for longer. Like, this probably sounds wild, but I might want to live here. A little laugh escapes my lips as I trip over the joy in those words, the truth in them. When you retire? No, now, Izzy. I can't keep the grin off of my face. I feel like I've just been treading water all this time, and this town feels right. It feels special. I glance at Izzy, searching for the same spark of inspiration I feel under these stars, surrounded by mountains and trees. But it's not there. Her face goes slack and her gaze falls to her shoes. Well, fuck, she says softly. You're just going to, what, leave Seattle on a whim? You're going to leave the band? You're going to leave me? The pain in her voice is almost enough to make me change my mind. I could say no, of course not. I'd never leave you. And we'd be back on track, heading for Denver, heading for fame, heading for whatever adventure Izzy dreams up next. But that's not what I say. You could stay here too. I wouldn't try to stop you. And it's there, in the space between my words, the hollow core of what I'm asking without asking. You don't have to leave me. Hold on. Don't let go. I've stayed by her side all this time, followed her through every turn. Maybe it was passive, maybe it was lazy, but it was still a choice every time. It was a choice not to change things, even as our relationship soured. And now it's a choice I offer her. One I hope she takes. Or maybe I hope she doesn't. But it's not up to me. It's up to her. Yeah. Good. A sad laugh breaks through her words as she speaks. I'll be the only trans person in a town with a population of like 4. That sounds like a blast for me. Thanks for not trying to stop me. My words thrown back at me sound raw and bitter and final. I'm sorry, Izzy, I say. And I am. I am so sorry. I'm sorry for what this will mean for her dreams. I'm sorry for letting this feeling fester inside me for so long. I'm sorry for not realizing what I wanted sooner. But I'm not sorry enough to change my mind. It's not you, and it's not the band. I fucking love that shit, but I need to try this. It's just time for something new. I knew it. I knew this would happen eventually. Izzy's words tear from her throat, and I am reminded of what she once told me about relationships, about being the right fit. People always leave, one way or another. I guess I was just waiting for it to happen with you, too. I swallow, my throat tight. I don't want to be just another person who leaves her, who makes her feel like she isn't enough. But the truth is that we're both not enough. Or maybe we're both too much. Either way, this relationship has been heading down the wrong path for a long time now. I can't fix it. Not when we want such different things. Reaching for Izzy, my fingers find her wrist, but she tugs free and gives me a long look. Maybe if I was more of a songwriter like her, I'd be able to read deeper, see all the layers of emotion hidden in the depths of her brown irises. Instead, all I see there is regret. Fucking... See you around, Steph. Her voice cracks as a single tear streams down her face, smearing her makeup. And then she's opening the door and heading for the stairs.
Okay. So that pretty much went down. Well, as far as the dialogue itself, like the action, not the narrations or inner monologue parts, but as far as what Izzy and Steph say, yeah, that was pretty much word for word what is said in the flashback that you get to hear in True Colors if you find the drugstore makeup button uh, button pin on the roof of the Black Lantern. I think that was like episode 2. I think that might have been the second episode or the third episode. But yeah, it's one of those that you when you find it, that's the dialogue that you hear is that conversation there. So so they pretty much said it word for word. All they did was add the like the little inner monologue parts and the little narrations. So yeah, pretty much that was handled the same. They didn't really they didn't like really change anything as far as that part is concerned. So okay. Well, let's see how the immediate aftermath of all that goes.
31. They say when you die, your life flashes before your eyes. Well, the same thing happens with a breakup. Only it's all the moments you had together. In the wake of Izzy, I am rocked by 100 memories. The first day we met, when we played music together for the first time. Our first kiss, our first gig, our first fight. A relationship is just a series of firsts, until it ends in a first breakup. But it does end, and even though I wish I could have said more, and I wish I could have said less, it's over, and what's done is done. I send Gabe a text. Think you could put me up for a few days? Don't you have more tour dates? His response comes almost immediately. He's probably finished cleaning up the bar. Maybe he's in his loft chilling, and I could just go downstairs and talk to him. But I'm not really in the mood to talk. I'm not really in the mood for anything. Another text comes in after a few minutes. Shit. Did something happen? Part of me wants to just spill everything to him. But Gabe's basically a stranger. He's just some guy who likes my music. Music that will never be played by me and Izzy again. How do I tell him that the band he brought here to Haven is no more, when I can't even bring myself to say the words myself? There are a dozen people I should tell first, like Jordy or Ollie or Leah or Dad. But the only person I really want to tell is Mom. That's impossible, though. So instead I type another text. No, not really. I was just thinking maybe I'd stick around Haven for a little longer than we originally planned. But not both of you? Look, man, can I crash with you or not? Yeah, of course. If you need to talk, hit me up. With that settled, I lean over the railing and look down at the town. My eyes find Izzy's van, still parked illegally. The light's on. She's probably curled up on her mattress, reading one of her new books or writing a song about how much I suck. I think about joining her, about holding her, about kissing her one last time. But instead, I just watch from above until she turns off the light, before heading downstairs to Gabe's place. I find him sitting on the couch, a beer in one hand and brick of cheese in the other, which he's eating like some kind of feral mouse. I see you started the after party without me, I say, flopping down next to him. Steph! He jumps a little, eyes wide. Hey, you okay? I will be if you're into sharing that cheese. Nothing soothes a broken heart like dairy. You're not lactose intolerant, are you? Gabe asks, horror flashing across his face as he hands me the brick and stands up to head to the kitchen. Why? Do you have a farting policy? Nah, the circulation in here is great. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't contributing to some kind of self-destructive behavior. He returns with a plate and a knife. Let me know if you do want something stronger. I've got beer, gummies. As Gabe rattles off the various amenities he has to offer, my brain trips, falls, comes to a screeching halt. I don't want to bury my feelings in a substance. Not even cheddar cheese. It surprises even me as I realize it. But what I actually want right now is to tell someone how I'm feeling. I've spent all this time locking down my emotions, keeping them to myself out of some kind of fear that sharing them would make them worse or make them spread. But emotions aren't an infectious disease. They're part of me. Broke up with Izzy. I brace myself for the plunging feeling in my stomach, the dread, the regret, the anguish. But none of it comes. Instead, I just feel sort of empty. Yeah, I kind of figured. Gabe turns to look at me, eyes full of concern. You okay? Sorry, that's a stupid thing to ask after a breakup, isn't it? Actually, I think I am okay. I exhale, long and slow, clutching the block of cheese to my chest like a stuffed animal. For the first time in a while, I feel pretty good. Well, that's promising. Gabe doesn't ask me what happened. He doesn't ask me why, and maybe that's what makes me want to share. He's not acting like my vulnerability is a condition of our friendship. We haven't really known each other long enough to be friends, but I think I'd like us to be. So I tell him. I tell him about me and Izzy, the making of and the breaking of. I tell him about Arcadia Bay and the memories that pull me under every fall. I tell him about how frozen I've been feeling and how Haven Springs somehow thawed me out, even in winter. And then I tell him about my mom. I think part of me stopped living when she died. I thought it was the only way to remember her, to stop moving. And because I couldn't stay in Arcadia Bay, I stayed in the grief. I get that. Death is weird, and it can really fuck with you, he says. His hands are clasped at his chest, and he stares up at the ceiling with unblinking eyes. When my mom died, I felt like I had to be strong about it all. My dad totally flaked after, and my sister Alex was still a kid, so it was like it was all on me to keep us afloat. Sometimes I wonder if we'd all still be together if I'd actually let myself feel things, instead of pushing it down. Where are they now? I ask. Regret flashes through Gabe's eyes as he sighs. No idea. Alex and I bounced around the foster system for a while, and I lost track of her. Dad just kind of vanished. I've been trying to find them both, actually, but I just keep hitting dead ends. Oh, a mystery. I sit up a little. Yeah, that's how I ended up here, actually. Dad came to Haven Springs years ago, and I thought I might find more clues, but nope. The trail ends here. I'm sorry. I cringe as the words land awkward and wrong. Well, that sucks. Yeah, it does. I mean, he wasn't a good dad. I don't think he was even that good a man. He scratches his chin and contorts his face. I don't know. People change.
It's nice that that they're putting uh the more investigative, subtle things that you learn about Gabe as True Colors went on, as to why he was in Haven, him looking for his dad, the the fact that his dad was in Haven Springs the whole time, and why he went there looking for him to begin with. So it's nice that they're actually putting it up front right here and using that as a way for Gabe to relate, to kind of get some relation to what Steph is going through, to try to emphasize on on a similar level. So, because that's all stuff that you could find out about Gabe by looking around. Um, you find some of the stuff throughout the room and throughout the rest of the episodes and everything in True Colors, and you also get some explicit dialogue from some of the emotional collectibles that you find, which give you certain audio flashbacks and stuff to certain things for certain characters, and a good deal of ones that are about Gabe do have him doing his some of his searching for both his father and Alex. So Alex, his sister. So that's nice that he's mixing that they're mixing that in here with Steph, and the fact that it also goes with what would happen later, where Gabe would constantly talk about his sister Alex, to pretty much all the town folk and everything, which is why everybody in in Haven, when Alex comes to Haven in True Colors, why a majority of everyone kind of feels like they almost know her already, because Gabe would talk about her, especially after he eventually does get in contact with her and they start reconnecting, and then eventually Gabe getting her to come to Haven and live there with him and stuff like that. So really, really sweet stuff to establish the foundation of the deeper connection between connection to forge a friendship, the friendship between Steph and Gabe. So that's pretty cool here.
Or maybe they don't. I guess I thought if I could find him, maybe I'd have a chance to see for myself. I nod, unsure what to say to that. Maybe like with the thing about my mom. The right thing to do is just listen. It's not all bad, though. Maybe I didn't find my dad, but I did find a family here in Haven Springs. Haven's done a lot for me. Makes me wonder if this place might have helped him, too. I get that. Haven feels like it has the power to really change people. Or maybe it's the people that change it. I don't know. I let silence fall between us, comfortable and soft like a blanket. Then I say what's been on my mind since I took my first step out of the van into this town. I really love it here. I just feel like I can be myself in Haven, if that makes sense. Totally. Haven Springs is pretty special. Like it's made by the people instead of the other way around, you know? Gabe pulls his legs up under him and turns so his whole body is facing me. Haven is all about the community. Eleanor Lath, she owns the flower shop. She's lived here for like 30 years. She's always coming up with ways to decorate the town. You should really see it in springtime, when everything is in bloom. And Jed, I wasn't kidding when I said he's a hero. He's modest about it, but he saved a ton of people during a mining accident about a decade ago. Plus, he's been really good to me. And you've gotta meet Ryan. That's Jed's son. He's the best. Seriously, a good guy. What is this, a sales pitch?
Yeah, Ryan.
I laugh as I slide down the couch and prop my feet up on the coffee table. Gabe stares at me for a beat, then shrugs. Yeah, I guess. Maybe it's stupid, but I think Haven is great. It's not stupid. Yeah? A grin spreads across his face. Yeah, I'm right. Haven is great. Everyone should live here. Well, maybe not everyone, I say. That would defeat the purpose of a small town. Good point. Not everyone should move here. Gabe nudges my shoulder. But I think maybe you should. I set the block of cheese down on the coffee table, and my eyes flick up to meet Gabe's. His expression is hopeful. Brow taut, smile tentative. My lips curve, and a laugh bubbles up in me because even though it feels totally wild, it's exactly what I think, too. 32. I get the best sleep of my life on Gabe's lumpy couch, curled under a scratchy yellow blanket with my toes tucked in between the cushions. I crash hard, and by the time I wake up, there's sunlight pouring in through the windows. I stretch my arms up and let a yawn consume me for a few seconds before checking my phone for the time. It's 1:54 p.m., and I don't have a single text from Izzy. It hits me harder than I expect. It's not like I thought she'd change her mind, but maybe I kind of hoped she would. My eyes drift to the coffee table, where there's a teal sticky note with a message scribbled on it. Working today, come down when you're awake. Breakfast is on the house. Gabe. Hoping that offer extends to a late lunch,
Yeah,
I push
pretty
myself
much.
off the couch and make a pit stop at the bathroom before shoving my feet back in my shoes and descending the stairs to the Black Lantern.
It is lunchtime.
The place isn't exactly bustling, but compared to last night, it's a pretty good showing. There's an older guy with long gray hair tucked into a booth, and a pretty white girl with a daisy woven into the end of her auburn braid sits in the back room, poring over a textbook, while a couple of guys play pool nearby. Good morning, Gabe waves me over from behind the bar. Or afternoon, I guess, whatever. I ease onto a bar stool and give him my best smile. It's morning somewhere, right? That's the spirit. You doing okay? I'm fine. And maybe that was the truth when I first woke up. But the longer I go with no message from Izzy, the more anxiety churns in my stomach. Maybe a little hungover. It's not true. I only had a couple drinks, but I still feel increasingly nauseated the longer I'm awake. Can you get hungover from cheese? I'd believe it. Gabe pushes a menu toward me. Lucky for you, we have the best hangover food in town. My eyes dip to the menu, but I can't seem to absorb the words. Dealer's choice, I say, pushing it back. Oh, that's dangerous. Gabe has very weird taste. I turn to see the girl with a flower in her hair smiling behind me. She has a book bag slung over her shoulder and a thick pink sweater in her arms. Gabe just shrugs and slides a glass of water across the bar. No takebacks. I'm Riley. The girl, Riley, gives me a little wave. Steph, I say. Are you visiting? Riley takes a seat beside me and brushes her hair back behind her ear. We don't see a lot of tourists in Haven. For a second, I think maybe she's flirting with me. And even though she's not really my vibe, it's weird how much I don't hate the idea of being flirted with by someone new. So weird, in fact, that I interrupt Gabe as he's explaining my presence here to ask, have you seen Izzy yet? Izzy? Gabe repeats her name, blinking. Yeah. Sorry, Steph. I figured you knew. She left this morning. I swallow with difficulty, my throat tight and sandpapery. Oh. She gave me your bag. Gabe dips below the counter and retrieves my purple suitcase. I just stare as he hoists it up onto the bar. And I guess maybe I should be grateful that she had the presence of mind to leave me with more than just the clothes on my back and my phone. But my mind circles over the only part that really matters. She left. I break off, pushing off my stool with a dissonant scraping sound and barreling for the door. Momentum carries me out into the street, and then I can't stop running. My feet pound against brick, my breath crashing through me in waves. I bump somebody's shoulder without apology and nearly trip over a dog. Nothing stops me until I cross the bridge and reach the main road out of town. It's deserted. I don't know what I expected. Izzy left hours ago. But some part of me thought maybe if I ran hard enough, she'd be here waiting. That maybe we could talk. That maybe she'd change her mind. That maybe I'd change mine. A sob rips through me, and I feel myself falling before my knees hit the ground. Gravel digging painfully into my jeans. Hey, you okay? I almost don't want to look up and just let myself melt into this new kind of grief I'm only just discovering. But instead, I wipe my cheeks and try to slow my breathing. Not really, I say, and turn to see a guy about my age with light brown hair and a concerned expression. Sorry, I know that's not really the ideal answer to that question. Nah, that's okay. All that matters is if it's true. He sinks down to sit cross-legged beside me. So, what are we dealing with? On a scale of I missed the bus to I just found out the apocalypse is today. I don't even know this guy, but I already feel grounded in his presence. Like his humor is a tether. My breathing slows, and I hiccup around my words. Somewhere in the middle, I guess. Okay. Middle's good. Is it? I raise my eyebrows. He just shrugs. I mean, better than the apocalypse thing. I ate all my emergency canned food last time it snowed, because I didn't feel like walking to the store, and I'm sadly not in possession of a time machine. Bummer. I really could have used one of those. I'm joking, but...
Yet again. You have, you have Chloe's number on your phone. She does have, her girlfriend Max technically is a human time machine, so... so... maybe. No. But yeah, clearly, obviously, Steph has no idea about that, but, you know, it's kind of funny wishing for a time machine and then, without you knowing it, you actually know someone that is in a relationship with someone that is a human time machine. So, kind of funny.
but my mind fills with all the moments I could change with that kind of power. I could go back to last night and redo my conversation with Izzy, introduce this town to her when she was in a better mood, let her really see its magic for herself. Or I could go back to before the tour and never accept Gabe's invitation to play the Black Lantern. Or I could go even further and actually tell Izzy about Arcadia Bay and my mom. All of it. Not just the surface stuff. But I can't rewind the clock. And even if I could, I don't know that any of those things would save us. You're Steph, right? The guy saying my own name jars me from my thoughts. And I must give him a weird look because he hurries to explain. I swear I'm not a weird stalker. I'm Ryan. You know Gabe. Gabe Chen, we're friends. He showed me your music and I recognized you from some of the videos. He lets out a long breath. That doesn't make me sound any less stalkerish, does it?
Kind of figured that was gonna be Ryan. Because we also have to establish how close Ryan and Steph become. So she would have to actually meet Ryan at some point here to at least establish the beginnings of that relationship too. So, well, friendship, but so kind of interesting that this is how they meet.
I don't think I have any room to judge. I just ran out here to try to catch my girlfriend before she left me forever. I trip over the word girlfriend, and an ache spreads through my chest. Oof, okay, I take it you didn't make it in time. What gave it away? I deadpan. Ryan nods slowly, eyes trained on the road before us. Do you know where she's headed? Denver, probably. Okay, well, there's a bus that runs through here you could take and try to catch up with her. My heart leaps into my throat. A bus? But the second the words leave my lips, I feel shattered. Because even if I did get on a bus to Denver, I'd be doing it because I'm scared, not because I really want Izzy back. Exhaustion weighs heavy on me at the very thought. She deserves better, and so do I. Yeah, you can probably get a ticket still, but I shake my head. No. Never mind, it was a stupid idea. I say, pushing up to standing. Sorry, I'm kind of fucked up today. Already? It's only like 2 in the afternoon. Huh? It takes me a minute to realize he thinks I'm drunk or something. To be fair, he did just witness me collapse in tears next to the road, so it's not like he's without evidence to back up that assumption. No, not like that. I say, waving my hand. I haven't even eaten anything yet. Okay, well, we should definitely fix that. He beckons me back toward the bridge and Main Street. Some food will help you straighten out your thoughts. I don't quite have it in me to smile just yet, but I can't help but take the bait. As a lesbian, I've never had a straight thought in my life. Gabe and Ryan form quite the cheer-up committee. For 2 guys who barely know me or my situation, they really are genuinely great about it. Gabe provides me with a never-ending supply of onion rings from the kitchen, and Ryan plays a couple rounds of pool with me to keep my mind off Izzy. Neither of them asks me about her. Charlotte stops by around dinner time, and Gabe disappears to a corner table with her. Date night, Ryan says by way of explanation. Sorry, was that too much? I know something's up with your girlfriend, and I don't want to... Breathe, dude. I clap a hand down on his shoulder. It's fine. I promise hearing about someone else's happy relationship isn't going to send me into a spiral. Cool, okay. Ryan's eyes stay on Gabe and Charlotte for a couple beats before he drags his gaze away, back to the pool table. I don't quite catch his expression, and maybe it's nothing, but I can't help but ask. What about you? What about me? He chalks the end of his pool cue. Oh, no, I'm single. He says, seeming to catch my drift after a moment. Happily. He adds, happily? I cock my head, eyeing him with curiosity. It's been almost 2 years since I've been single, and though I remember my college years, and even some of my high school years fondly, I don't know that I'd attribute any of my happiness to singledom. The pursuit of love, even before I was ready to feel it again after Mom died, has always guided my steps in some way or other. Ryan shrugs. Yeah, I've dated before, semi-successfully. Semi? Okay, so I'm not great at it. I'm not exactly the smoothest of players. A laugh bursts from my chest. Holy shit. Say players again. Absolutely not. Ryan reaches out to straighten the triangle of billiard balls, setting off a chain reaction as he nudges one a little too hard and they all scatter. Fuck. We scramble to collect the balls, and once we have them mostly contained, I say, so what's your secret to being happy? Ryan runs a hand over his beard and quirks his lips. I don't know that it's really a secret, just how I approach life. Romance is cool and maybe I'll find it one day, but it's not the only thing that matters. It's not the only kind of love that matters. His eyes flick over to Gabe and Charlotte, who are holding hands across the table.
Case in point, big word of advice is you can't expect people to love you if you don't learn to love yourself. By love yourself, I don't mean in like a narcissistic type of way, but I mean in like knowing yourself and accepting yourself for who you are and not what others want you to be or try to force you to be. So, because that's kind of what happened here with Steph and Izzy, is that as far as Steph goes, which she even admitted that she was doing a lot of things to kind of make Izzy feel good without taking into consideration that is making Steph feel worse. And all it's doing is bottling up emotions and stuff that she needs to deal with, but she's just pushing it down. So that's but it's nice now we're seeing that that Steph, Ryan, and Gabe are all hanging out. So getting a little deeper friendship going between all three of them.
He's a good friend, huh? I ask, following his gaze. I thought at first maybe it was jealousy for what they have, or maybe for one of them being with the other, but now I can see as clear as the night sky here in Haven that the look in Ryan's eyes before was just uncomplicated affection. And maybe he's right. That kind of love matters. It's that kind of love that brings people together. It's that kind of love that makes a town like Haven so special. The best. Ryan nods and turns back to me. I know you haven't known Gabe long, but if you let him, I think he'd be a good friend to you too. If ever there was a place to heal a broken heart, I think Haven is probably it. After several rounds of pool with Ryan and coming to a stalemate, I take myself for a walk through the park. The sun is beginning to fall behind the trees, sending dappled light across the grass. It feels uniquely precious, like some kind of natural marvel that should be protected. The Park Service would probably put up signs warning tourists not to take it home. If it was the kind of thing you could pick up and slip into your pocket like rocks or pine cones. Do you like it? A melodious voice breaks through my thoughts and startles me into a leap backward. An older woman with short gray hair and glasses stands at the head of the trail, a brown apron worn over a thick purple sweater. Oh, sorry, dear. I thought you were someone else. She extends a smile and a hand to me. I'm Eleanor. Steph.
There you go.
I shake her hand. Nice to meet you.
I figured.
She pauses, surveying me carefully. I don't suppose I could bother you for your opinion. Well, it definitely wouldn't be a bother. I'm full of opinions. Eleanor points to a nearby lamppost adorned with bright pink and purple flowers. I'm trying to get the spring decorations just right and I can't decide. Baby's breath or no baby's breath? She holds out some white, lacy-looking flowers from a bucket full of different blooms. I take them and run my fingers along the little buds. I'm reminded of Renee and her floral arrangements. The way they're always a little ragged around the edges, but personal. The charm and the mistakes. I think yes to the baby's breath, but it's still missing something. I glance down at the bucket by her feet. There are white daisies and yellow daffodils, but they're all too bright or too big to add to the arrangement without overshadowing the delicate beauty of what she's already designed. Yes, it's just not quite right. Eleanor frowns, lines around her mouth deepening. The color balance is off, it's too soft. You need a contrast. What about something green, like some leaves or something? Eleanor snaps her fingers. Yes, you're absolutely right. She dips into the bucket and comes up with some fern leaves. These will do nicely. Perfect. She fits the leaves and baby's breath into the arrangement, then steps back to admire her work. Perfect indeed. Thank you, Steph. No problem at all. It's really beautiful. I smile and wave before carrying on with my walk. But my heart beats a dull bruise against my chest as I think about how special this could have been to share with Izzy. I slip my phone out of my pocket and open and close my text thread with Izzy multiple times. I want to tell her something, but I don't know what. I guess in the end, there's really nothing new for me to say. Instead, I click on Jordy's name and tap out a text. So shit hit the fan, with me and Izzy. Fuck, you okay?
Oh.
Yeah, I guess. Don't really want to talk about it. Okay. When you do, I'm here. Thanks. I'm gonna chill in Colorado for a bit. Figure out my next move. You need anything? I take a deep breath. I'm not good at asking for help. I'm even worse at recognizing when I need it. But right now, Jordy's offering. And there is something tangible he can do for me. Yeah, if you don't mind, when Izzy gets back to Seattle, could you pick up my stuff? Yeah, of course. Maybe just give it to my dad until I get back. Do you know when that will be? I stare down at my phone, at the question blinking up at me from the screen. I told Izzy I wanted to stay here, maybe forever. As I look up at the nature surrounding me, at the town cast in the shadow of sunset, I think maybe I could be happy here. But who just moves to a small town they hadn't heard of until a few months ago? Izzy was right about one thing. It would be on a whim, and it's been a while since I let something as flimsy as that decide things for me. I switch over to the browser, where I pulled up the bus schedule for Haven, then type a response to Jordy. In a few weeks, maybe. I hover my finger over the button to purchase a ticket to Denver. I can catch a flight back to Seattle from there. I know it's the smart thing to do, probably even the right thing to do. so I click it. 33. The next few days are rough. On Thursday, I lose spectacularly at pool to Charlotte. On Friday, I get a spider bite that swells to the size of a quail egg on my ankle. And on Saturday, Izzy blocks my number. Izzy. Hey. Home safe. I think it would be best if I blocked your number. It's not personal. I just feel like the temptation to text you would be too much. And I want to let you get on with whatever it is you're doing out there. So, bye. And fuck if it doesn't feel personal. But I guess that's how breakups go.
Which, that is also a, well, that text is also a callback to the Wavelengths DLC in True Colors. Because on Steph's phone, you can actually read that text message from Izzy about blocking Steph and whatnot. So, uh, so I believe that was probably pretty much almost word for word, pretty much what the text in the game is to what was written here. So there's that. We also know that by the end of the Steph DLC, that Izzy, during the New Year's section, towards the end of Steph's story there in the DLC for True Colors, Izzy does unblock Steph and does give her a text message of pretty much the message is like trying not trying to like get back together or whatnot, but trying to resolve issues that they had, so that way they could at least have had some real closure to their relationship. So at least we know like she's gonna stay blocked here, but in the future Izzy does open up a door to at least hashing out their differences and try to end things on a lot better of a note. So, after, I guess, obviously, after both of them have spent some time apart and have kind of figured things out individually, now Izzy will open up the door to be like, okay, now maybe we can figure things out between that happened between us, so that way there's no like regrets there, which in this case would be the regret of how things ended, pretty much. So, and obviously depending on where you go in True Colors with Alex's romance decision, if you do go with Steph, then obviously, there's no getting back together with Izzy. It's Steph and Alex for the going off into either staying in Haven and chilling in the record store together or whatnot, or if you went with Alex going to give, ironically, the band music idea a shot. And if you're in a relationship with Steph, she will go with you, and ironically continue kind of where Steph left off in the middle of her relationship with Izzy, but instead of Izzy, it's Alex that she's with. So so it's kind of funny how she'll kind of repeat the situation over again, but the main difference is she'll be doing it in a relationship that she is way more comfortable with on both ends, that they're both really comfortable with each other, and there's no like uh the repeated arguing and then getting back, and then we argue and then we're fine, and then we're arguing and then we're fine, but we're never resolving any issues. So at least she'll continue what she, because she did want to do the band thing. It's just that the relationship with the other person was not going was not in the best situation, so she had to obviously both of them had to get out of that, because it was not in either of their benefit to have that continue.
I text Jordy to let him know Izzy's back, and then send my dad an email. Hey Dad, tour was fun. I'm hanging around Colorado for a bit. This place is dope. I don't know why, but Colorado trees and Pacific Northwest trees have different vibes. I bet Renee can explain it. Anyway, I don't want to get into it, but Izzy and I aren't together anymore. Jordy's going to bring over some of my stuff for you to hang on to until I figure out what I'm doing. XOXO, Steph. I sit around in a funk all day after that and order way too many ice creams from Avalanche. Gabe and Ryan take pity on me, and Ryan offers to bring me to some of the trails around Haven. What part of all this, I say gesturing to entire self, made you think I was the kind of person who likes hiking? Ha! Gabe shouts, I told you. Ryan rolls his eyes. Knock it all you want, but you haven't really seen Haven until you've seen it from above. Spoken like a true park ranger. Gabe says, just trust me on this. It's not even that bad of a hike. Ryan glances down at my Vans. Do you, own any other shoes? I raise an eyebrow. Oh yeah, my suitcase is full of footwear. I've got everything from stilettos to Crocs. Okay, so I'll take that as a no. Gabe pulls out his phone and sets it on the bar. What's your shoe size? Maybe Charlotte can loan you some boots. She does, luckily. I don't think I would have survived the hike in my shoes. Ryan vastly underestimated my level of fitness, and by the time we've reached the top, I'm thoroughly winded. Not that bad, my ass. I wheeze, dragging my feet to follow Ryan out of the trees and toward a grassy point. Sometimes I forget not everyone's used to the altitude. Ryan offers me his arm to lean on. It takes me a minute to catch my breath, but when I do, my eyes widen. The view is stunning. From here, I can see the entire town. The lake, the bridge, the park. We're pretty high up, but I still feel so much a part of this place. There are deer grazing down by the river, and a flock of geese flies overhead in the shape of an arrow. All around us, the trees rustle in the wind as if whispering some juicy secret. Whoa, I say, stepping forward. Careful, don't get too close to the edge. Ryan grabs the back of my flannel. You can really see everything. Told you. Ryan points down at the town. There's the roof of the Black Lantern. I nod, eyes sweeping over familiar landmarks. Huh, and you can see the statue of my dad from here. They really love Jed and Haven, huh? Gabe showed me the statue a few days ago, And honestly, it's just as strange from up here as it was up close. I can't imagine having a statue of someone I know where I live, let alone my own dad. Is it weird? I ask. Your dad being a local hero and everything? Kind of. I don't know. Ryan shrugs. It happened when I was a kid, and it was definitely weird when I was growing up. But now I'm just kind of proud. He acts humble, but I know it means a lot to him to know how much the town loves him, especially after my mom died. My throat closes over my words, and I have to fight to say them. You too, huh? Ryan gives me a quizzical look, and I sort of wish I hadn't said anything. But it's too late for that. You're in the club? He asks. I nod and turn my eyes back to the view, blinking away tears. It's a shitty club. Yeah. It sucks. Ryan lets out a long sigh, then says, I'm glad I get to live in a place she loved, though. Really? I say, over the lump in my throat. I don't think I could ever go back to my hometown. Not after... I trail off. Too many memories, I say instead. I don't know. I don't think there's such a thing as too many memories. He gestures down at Haven, eyes glowing with all the warmth of a hug. Haven means a lot to me, and not just because I was born and raised here. It's special in a way few places are. I don't think I could ever leave. I nod, throat too sticky for words, and my fingers find the bus ticket in my pocket. It's only paper, but it feels as heavy as lead. As the days pass, my indentation in Gabe's couch deepens until there's a Steph-shaped pile of blankets and beer bottles and laundry. The date of my bus trip to Denver looms closer, but I haven't even begun to pack up what remains of my stuff. I know I can't keep relying on Gabe to put me up. He's done enough already. But there's not much waiting for me in Denver besides a flight back to Seattle. Leaving should feel more like moving on. Instead, it just feels like a backslide. Like an inescapable gravity pulling me to repeat the past. Increasingly, I find myself sitting on the roof of the Black Lantern, staring down at Haven with longing, or wandering aimlessly through the park like a forlorn lover in a period drama. Gabe pulls me from my reverie with a text as I make yet another lap of the park's well-worn path. So I think I can get you a job in town if you're interested, so you can stop couch surfing and get your own place. Guilt pulls at my stomach and I cringe. He doesn't know about the bus ticket yet, and I don't know how to tell him. It's not like he knows what I told Izzy on this very rooftop about wanting to stay here. He can't read my thoughts to know I want it so bad. My bones actually ache at the thought of leaving. But here he is anyway, with an offer far above and beyond. Ryan was right. Gabe is a good friend. Dude, maybe we ought to talk about that. I look up, finding myself back at the park's entrance in the shadow of the statue of Jed Lucan. I glance back at the path and go for another round. I'm not quite ready to put everything on the table with Gabe. Not yet. Crack open some beers. I'll be there in 10. I'm still not totally ready by the time I complete my walk, but oh well. I climb the stairs to Gabe's place and find him in the kitchen, cold beers in hand. Hey! He holds one out for me to take. Okay, before you say anything, I kind of feel like this is fate. Fate? I swipe the bottle from his hand and take a swig, letting the tangy liquid spark against my tongue. I don't believe in fate. Gabe furrows his brow and gives me a dead-eyed stare. Come on, Steph. Oh, that's rich, coming from the guy who doesn't believe in avocado toast, I say, leaning against the back of the couch. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you put avocado on hot bread? Because it's delicious. I throw my hands in the air, spilling a little beer on the floor. Yeah, but riddle me this, Gingrich. How am I supposed to afford a house someday if I blow all of my cash on avocados? Yeah, I don't think it's the avocados, dude. Whatever. Gabe shakes his head and crosses over to his desk, where he grabs a napkin with a note scribbled on it. Listen, you know the record store? They're looking for a new manager for the store and the radio station. Perfect, right? His smile is so bright, I kind of have to return it. But I know my own is weak by comparison. Yeah. Perfect. I got the info here. Beatrice is the one you'll want to contact. I hyped you up pretty hard when she came into the Black Lantern today, so the job's pretty much yours as long as you show up to the interview with a pulse. Ah, no can do. The terrible secret I've been hiding all this time is that I'm actually undead. Gabe rolls his eyes. Come on, this is totally up your alley. I shrug. I don't know. Kind of thought I might move on. From music? From Haven. I slip into my pocket and withdraw the bus ticket. It's dated for tomorrow. I know I've overstayed my welcome on your couch and I can't just hang out here forever. I have to get on with things eventually. Gabe's face falls immediately. No, nope, absolutely not. What are you, a thesaurus? I raise my brows and sigh. Come on, be realistic. I don't really fit in here, do I? What are you talking about? Gabe crosses over to me and gives me a light punch on the arm. You're practically a townie by now. Everyone loves you. Everyone? Gabe, you know you only count as one person, right? Me, Ryan, Charlotte. He ticks off the names on his fingers. Jed's a fan, said your jukebox choices were great, and Eleanor told me she thinks you're a darling. Yeah, okay. But wouldn't it be weird for me to just move here on a whim? I don't realize until I say it that I'm echoing Izzy's words. I'm the one speaking, but it's her doubts that worm their way under my skin and make me so uncertain. Gabe shrugs. I don't think it matters if it's impulsive or not. You should do what makes you happy. What makes me happy? My eyes slide unfocused across the room. It's weird, the way happiness feels so intangible to me. It's not because I haven't been happy. I can point to 100 memories over the past couple of years where I've been happy. Ecstatic, even. It's just that chasing happiness has always felt a little bit like a wild ride. Back in Seattle, it felt like I was floating along a river full of twists and bends and rapids. I was lost in the current, too tired from trying to stay afloat to really look for joy and hold on to it. Arcadia Bay was more like the sea, a push and pull of a steady tide. But the ocean is still dangerous. Sometimes it's a sneaker wave that gets you. Sometimes a storm. Haven is more like a lake, quiet and still with a reflective surface like glass. Here, I can settle. I can actually hear myself think. And yeah, it's a little discomforting, but it's also refreshing. I've really filled my life with as much noise as possible so I can avoid it. But maybe what I really need is to actually just sit with myself and figure me out. I'll play you for it, Gabe says, breaking me from my focus. He points to the foosball table, a lopsided smile on his face. If I win, you stay in Haven. And if I win? I ask. Gabe just shrugs. Then you do whatever you want. My heart leaps into my throat. A little yeasty after the beer, but I can't help but grin back. It means a lot that he's willing to fight so hard for this. It's not like I haven't had good friends before. Jordy and Ollie and Leah are all amazing. But this is next level. You're on. I veer to the left and give one of the handles a spin. The little soccer dudes in white and blue go head over heels, just like me for this town. Whatever I want. I don't know if Gabe already knows it, but as he places the ball in the center of the field, I realize that, win or lose, I'm staying. Spring. 34. I've never been so happy to lose a bet. Gabe absolutely crushes me at foosball, but I don't care. I rip the bus ticket in half as he celebrates his victory with yet another dance he should never debut in public.
Also, nice, definitely a nice callback to exactly how Steph lost that bet, because you actually overhear parts of that exchange with telling Gabe about the buying the ticket and leaving and all that, and then him gonna play her at foosball, and if he wins, she stays and stuff like that. And then the immediate aftermath of losing and stuff, and Gabe kind of suspecting you kind of wanted to lose there, didn't you, type of thing. So, because you hear that in the flash, the little emotion um audio flashbacks in True Colors during the beginning of episode 2, when you're trying to help Steph deal with her sadness. There are several things that you could read the emotions of, and a couple of those is literally the conversations and stuff leading to the foosball game, and then like after the foosball game and all that. And even that little part there was pretty much what was said during those conversations, during those flashback moments too. So pretty cool.
He wakes Ryan up with a phone call just to tell him the good news, and I hide my smile behind my hands. I collapse onto his couch for my first sleep as an official Haven Springs resident, and he says, "You're not going to regret this, I promise." And I don't. Not once over the next few days do I question if I've made the right decision. Not at the interview for the radio station job, which I do in fact land with ease. Not on my first day when I realize how totally underqualified I am for the gig. Not even when I sign the lease for my very own apartment. Through it all, I feel one thing: certainty. "Incoming!" Gabe shouts as he and Charlotte come barreling through the door of my new place with a queen-size mattress. Charlotte lets Gabe push it into a corner and crosses over to me. "Congrats, girl, this is a great space." I shrug. "Thanks, I guess. I've never actually had my own place before." It's not much. A one-bedroom with a decent-sized living room and in-unit laundry, which is honestly more luxurious to me than a whole castle. The wallpaper is a sort of faded green color, and the bathroom has the ugliest checkered orange tile I have seen in my life. But I don't really care. "Hey, where do you want the desk?" Ryan asks, carrying a large IKEA box over the threshold. I have no idea. I look around at the room, still mostly empty, but for a few boxes Dad sent me. I don't really know what to do with this space, to be honest. I blink and realize I'm waiting for someone to tell me what they think I should do. I'm waiting for Izzy to tell me what to do. As I turn slowly on the spot, taking in the space before me, I imagine it the way Izzy would. The purple plush rug, the bookshelf full of poetry. But this isn't Izzy's room. It isn't Izzy's life. It's mine. So I roll my shoulders back and lift my chin. I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. I point to a corner of the room. Maybe over there. If it doesn't work, I can always move it. Cool. Ryan and Gabe get to work on putting it together. The instructions are lost somewhere under a box almost immediately as they squabble over the pieces like children building a Lego palace. Charlotte nudges me and says, "Got you a little housewarming thing." What? Oh, you really didn't have to. I turn to see her holding out something thin and rectangular, wrapped in brown butcher paper. It's not a big deal, just something I painted. Gabe told me you really like that deer statue, so Stagatha Christie? I exclaim as I tear the paper off a beautiful oil painting. The colors pop off the canvas, depicting a street view of Haven. It's almost exactly the same as my first glimpse of the town. The brick street, the little flowers bursting from the earth, the snow-capped mountains in the backdrop. And there, at the center, is that weird deer, looking like it owns the place. I love it. Holy shit. You painted this? Charlotte beams. Yeah, I work the silver dragon by day, but this is my real passion. I love making art for people who will really appreciate it, you know? And I do know. There was a time when I would have responded by talking about my music. And music is still a part of me. Always will be. And it's been months since I've picked up a pencil to draw. But here I am, in a new town, with new people, trying to be myself. So I gather my bravery and I say, I do appreciate it. I'm actually an artist too. Charlotte's eyes brighten. Oh, that's great. I don't paint, but I draw comics and stuff. I did a zine in college for a while, actually. No way, Gabe chimes in. Behind him, Ryan is furiously trying to fit a screw into the wrong piece, eyebrows pinched in laser focus. Ethan is super into comics, too. Gabe takes the screw from Ryan and points to the correct piece. He'll be so excited to have someone to talk to about it. That's rad. I'd love to geek out about comics with him. I've met Ethan a couple times now. I kind of always thought kids weren't my thing, but Charlotte's son is actually pretty cool. And apparently we have more in common than I thought. When he gets back from his dad's, let's set something up, Charlotte says. In the meantime, she pulls a bottle of wine from her bag. I realize you don't have a TV yet, so we can't do a movie night, but how about a moving night? Fancy. I hop over to the kitchen, where I've already begun organizing the cutlery and dishes I managed to scrounge together. Between a couple of estate sales and the generous donations from folks around town, I may not have the most aesthetic dining setup, but I kind of prefer it this way. All my cutlery is old, tarnished silver, and each mismatched plate and bowl feels like this town. Storied and unique. Charlotte pours the wine into 4 mugs and hands them out to Gabe and Ryan. Cheers, she says, clinking ours together, to your new life in Haven Springs. We drink and we laugh, and slowly this place begins to feel like home. Not just because of the stuff I hang on the walls or the books I put on the shelves, but because of the memories I build within these walls and the people I share them with. Haven Springs is not Arcadia Bay, but I don't need it to be. It's different in so many ways, and it's the same in just as many. But then, so am I. I'm not the same girl I was at 19. I'm not the same girl from before the storm. Arcadia Bay is gone.
Before the storm.
But home isn't. Because home isn't a single place. And it's not a person. It's something I hold inside myself. And it's up to me to put down roots and try to grow. After Gabe, Charlotte, and Ryan head out, I turn to survey this place I've chosen for myself. And I catch a sight of my purple suitcase pushed up against the wall. It's the only thing left. I cross the room and flip open the lid. And finally, I unpack.
And that is the end of That's the end of Life is Strange, Steph's story.
This concludes
Really?
the reading of Life is Strange, Steph's Story by Rosie Thor. Copyright 2015
So,
2023. Square Enix Limited.
so
This book was read by Katie Betts. This unabridged recording was produced in 2023. Neither this recording nor any portion of it may be reproduced or used for any purpose without prior written authorization of our. Thank you.
alright. So, alright. So that does it for that. So, before, before I wrap up here, let me, because the audiobook doesn't do it. So, let me read at the end. The author Rosie Thor wrote a little acknowledgement section at the end of the book. So let me read that here. No book is ever written truly alone, and I have been lucky enough to have an incredible team behind me for Steph's story. An enormous thank you to my rockstar agent, Saba. I'm gonna be butchering some names here, so apologies to all of that. Soliminan, uh, who has not once wavered in her support of me and my books. I cannot believe my fortune believe my fortune to have ended up in this business with someone as genuine, talented, and brilliant as you. May there be many more to come. To the team at Titan who have ushered this book into being, my eternal thanks. Uh, Michael Beale, the editor extraordinaire. I'd say I'm sorry for all the puns, but I don't think you'd believe me. Many thanks to Julia Lloyd, Lisa Morris, Dan Coxon, Carrie Lewis, William Robinson, George Sanson, Catherine Carl, uh, and several other names that I am horribly butchering here. But this book would not exist without the brilliant minds behind Life is Strange. Thank you to Raoul Barnett, Jean-Luc Cano, Michael Koch, and the team at Don't Nod for creating the original story and characters of Life is Strange, and to the entire team at Deck 9 Games for deepening the universe in Life is Strange Before the Storm and Life is Strange True Colors, and most importantly, bringing us Steph. Thank you for building such wonderful characters and allowing me to play a small part in telling the monumental story that is Life is Strange. Thanks also to the team at Square Enix. If I can go back in time and tell teenage Rosie that I would one day get to work with the publisher of some of her favorite games, I think she'd probably spontaneously combust on the spot. Special thanks to other storytellers in the Life is Strange universe. Emma Vicelli, Claudia Leonardi, and Andrea Izio, who originated the crew of the High Seas in such vibrant color in the comics. And of course, a massive thank you to Steph herself, Katie Benz, whose performance has brought so much more than a voice to the character we all love. Um. Hold on. Getting a little teary-eyed over here. Okay. Whew. And finally, thank you to the entire Life is Strange community. The fans of this series are some of the most passionate and creative I've encountered, and I'm honored to count myself among you. And that was a little bit of the final thoughts and acknowledgments from Rosie Thor at the very end of the book there. So, with that, after that very humble thank you from Rosie written at the end of the book here, I myself would like to obviously, most importantly, thank Rosie Thor herself for writing such a amazing, heartfelt book, for really deepening Steph's character from the games and bringing more life to an already amazing character. And obviously, since we're doing the audiobook, a very amazing thank you and to Steph herself, Katie Benz, for doing the audiobook for this to begin with, because I never thought when this book was announced, I never thought they would do like an audiobook for this at all. And even if they were going to, I did not think that, because you know how corporations and stuff are most of the time, I did not think that they would actually care enough to actually have Katie Benz actually do the audiobook to begin with. So thank you for technically not reading the book, but Katie, you definitely acted the book, because that wasn't just somebody reading a book. That was definitely somebody performing the book and actually acting it. So thank you for that. So hopefully you all enjoyed this trip into the expanded Life is Strange universe outside of the games, because at this point this franchise is way more than just the games. It definitely lives and breathes well beyond the games, and there's plenty of stories to tell in various different forms of media. And I hope you enjoyed this little taste of what that is like. So, with that, this is JR signing off, and I will catch you all in the next one. Catch you later.